2019. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You may be seated. Madam Secretary, please take the roll.
Commissioner Aguinaga, Commissioner Garcia, Commissioner Perez, Commissioner Ramos,
Present.
Commissioner Santana,
Present.
Commissioner Ursua, Commissioner Torres,
Present.
Commissioner Limon, Commissioner Frazier,
Present.
Commissioner Vasquez. We have quorum.
Seeing a quorum, the meeting is officially called to order. We're now moving on to the consent calendar. This is time for the Commission to consider matters under the consent calendar. Items include item number 1, to excuse absences.
We have 3 excused absences: Commissioner Aguinaga, Commissioner Ursua, and Commissioner Garcia.
Do I have a motion to consider item 1?
A motion to approve item 1, excuse absences.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed, please say no. The matter is approved by a vote of 6-0. We will now consider matters under the business calendar. The first item on the business calendar is item number 2, Community Development Block Grant, CDBG program for fiscal year 2018 through 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the time and place for the public hearing of the Community Redevelopment and Housing Commission of the City of Santa Ana for the Community Development Block Grant CDBG program for fiscal year 2019 through 2020. At this time, we would like to hear from the organizations who submitted an application for the Community Development Block Grant program funds for fiscal year 2019 through 2020. Staff have prepared a schedule of speakers from each organization. Each speaker will have 7 minutes to present the proposal to the Commission. Commissioners may then discuss the proposal and ask questions of the applicant for up to 5 minutes before the next speaker is invited to present. If there is anyone else who would like to speak about the proposal, you will have the opportunity to present your comments at the end of the presentations. I would like to invite our first speaker to present the proposal. Achievement Institute of Scientific Studies.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the commission. Do I need a, can you hear me okay? Okay. I'd like to thank the commission for allowing us to come here and do the presentation on our program. Here with me today is Zeke Hernandez, our chairman of the board, and Lee Smear, our chairman of our programs. So let me make sure I can handle this okay? Okay. So our program that we're proposing is an extension of the program we have today. This one is an AISS STEM and Wellness program. The purpose of this program is to look at the gap between middle school and high school. So we'll be working with kids that just finished the 8th grade, so it's the summer before they start the 9th grade. And we're looking at the professional, educational, and personal development. The concept of this program is to connect the STEM with college awareness, career readiness, and life skills, as well as presentations, workshops, study trips, and activities. This is in addition to the mind, body, and spirit workbook that we'll be using with the students, and also the college students will be the actual instructors and mentors for these kids. We'll also have some of our AISS partners involved to help with the workshops. And Century High School is where we're deciding to pilot the program. Now the design of it, there will be 30 students, 5 college instructors. 12 of the class meetings will be from Monday through Friday over a 3-week period. 3 of the meetings will be actual, what we call study trips, similar to field trips. The college students doing the teaching, as I said before, they'll also be mentors, and we're splitting the 30 students up into groups of 6. So each one of the instructors will be mentoring 6 students. The curriculum that we're using for the wellness part is called I Am Awesome. This is a workbook that a lady named Mary Richards, Dr. Richards, designed a few years ago to address tweens and teens as they're moving through their emotional, physical, personal development. And the program itself will be oversaw by myself and my current staff of AISS. The awareness of this program, for us, in addition to what we do from a STEM college and career, we're also looking at their cognitive, social, physical, and emotional development. With the I Am Awesome workbook, these are the 6 maturity levels that we'll be looking at and working with the students on. They're personal, social, emotional, intellectual, physical, and ethical. Because we're finding that between the time they're coming out of middle school and into high school, these are the areas that still need more development. And we're also planning to have parents involved. That's also part of the workshop. And then the Santa Ana community feedback and survey. So at the end of the program, we're planning to send out surveys. Eligibility. We look at that we're uniquely qualified to run this type of program because we currently have a program that works for kids that are already in high school in their 11th and 12th grade. These students we're going to work with are going to be first-time high school students. They have to have a GPA of 3.0 or higher. They have to be eligible for the federal free lunch program, interested in math and science. Their teachers will have to give them a letter of recommendation, either their math or science teacher, and then we give a signed agreement from the parent to participate in the program and their student, or their child, should I say. Now, the background for myself and Paul Reardon. Paul Reardon is the founder of AISS. He has over 38 years of experience as an educator and administrator. And then myself, I have over 20 years experience in the nonprofit world as well as management. Now, in addition to the 2 of us, our program itself has been 100% successful. This is AISS College to Career Readiness STEM program that we run today. This program was founded back in 1997 with our first class beginning in 2001. Up there where I say that 100% of the students get into college and get through college, I always say 99% finish college, only because there's like one student I can't find. So I don't want to say it's 100% until I find that student. Right now we're serving over 500 people that involve parents, alumni, and the community. We have a lot of community partners. We have over 250 volunteers that work with our program over the 2 years. And this is for the current program. Chapter University is a big partner. Edwards Life Sciences, Edison, and Michael Baker International, which is a civil engineering company. Our current program, we concentrate on STEM, mainly because we know that if students go in a STEM field, they're more than likely to get a job either before they finish college or right after they finish college. And our goal is to change the lives of kids to make sure they're able to change the lives of themselves, their families, and their community. Now, AISS STEM and Wellness Program, the program that we're proposing, we feel like it's aligned with Plan Goal number 2, which involves youth education and recreation. In addition, with this particular area, we feel like because our program has been 100% successful, that we're qualified to do this type of program with a younger group of kids to prepare them for most likely to be the pool that we bring into our high school program at some point. AS focuses on STEM, mind, body, and spirit, the positive impact on students, the alumni, the family, and the community. Now, with our current program, there's 2 students that I'm highlighting, Edgar Sanchez and Selma Baccarat. students have been in our program, first generation college students, and they both finished the program, one got a PharmD and the other with their PhD in biological engineering. Is that the one?
That's actually, that's the 7 minutes.
That's the 7 minutes?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, can I introduce Zeke and Lee?
Come up, Mr. Lee, you're fine.
Good afternoon, members of the commission. Thank you very much. My name is Zeke Hernandez. I'm a trustee with Rancho Santiago Community College District. I'm also chairman of the board of directors for AISS. AISS started by my high school teacher. That was many, many years ago because I was in high school back in the 60s. And he got me involved several years ago, and it's an excellent program. And I'll leave right there and I'll introduce Luis, who is also a member of the board of directors.
Good afternoon, everybody. AISS is, I think the most important thing is that it serves the city of Santa Ana kids. It's serving high-achieving, low-income kids, youth that are preparing for high school or college in the STEM program. And it provides ways for parents and community to support these students as we are now. And obviously the 99% graduation record is something really impressive and I'm really proud of. So I wish you guys could consider us. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Amir.
So is there any questions?
We're crunched for time, and we're logging for the mic as well, but we can take some questions, sure.
Yes. So one of the things, Jim Perez, an educator, the 3.0 GPA, I understand STEM and technology and engineering, but I also think we're limiting our potential of our students. And I think junior high is a very exploratory age for a lot of our student population. So is there leeway on that 3.0 GPA?
I would say there may be a little bit in there, but the group that we're going to be piloting from Century's Flex program, these are students that are coming from 3 different middle schools that are in the high achieving range. So these are kids that we know for sure that will be able to handle the intensity of the program. That's the reason why we actually have a higher GPA than most programs, because we know that we're going to be very intense because of the STEM activities we're going to be doing.
Okay. And your I Am Awesome program, is that an evidence or research-based or best practice model?
As far as I know, it's best practice. The professor that wrote the book, I have her book right here, she is actually going to be involved with this program when we get ready to roll it out, and she will be the one actually training the instructors, and her sister is actually on our board, and she will also be involved in teaching some of the workshops.
And the last question I have, your proposal states you're actually going to be serving 95 students, not 30. So it is only 30 students?
It's only 30 direct students.
30 direct students. So then the cost per participant wouldn't be 351, it would be 30 divided by the total number.
The reason that we have the 95 in there is because we're also including the parents, because the parents are going to be involved, and any alumni students that we're going to be working with. So we came out with, because there's 2 parents per student, so we kind of rolled it up that way.
Okay. Thank you. No further questions?
Anybody else?
Commissioner Frazier,
No, actually, yes.
Oh, you know what, actually, sorry about that, I do have one more additional question. So I'm taking a look at the 3-year funding cycle, and I know this is the first year you guys are applying for money, is that correct?
Yes, it is. And actually, let me rephrase that. A couple of years ago, we did apply as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
sorry, a few commissioners want something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Commissioner Tarda, do you have any questions?
No, thank you. Very good presentation, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Commissioner Leon?
Yes, I have a question. How does this program provide cultural enrichment to the students?
Well, the majority of our students are Hispanic, and the majority of our alumni are Hispanic, and so are our parents. So a lot of the people that we're going to have involved, from the engineers to scientists, will also be in that range, because our goal is to let kids that are not normally involved with STEM see that kind of representation in STEM, because we have a lot of different minorities that are involved with STEM that they're not aware of.
Mr. Zeke Hernandez and Mr. Luis Mir for being here and support.
Thank you.
Sorry, I just have one last question. You may have answered it when I stepped out, so I apologize if you have. But how did you all select Century High School versus other high schools in
A
the
good question. I am also a Kiwanian, and I've spent a lot of time over at Century High School in different projects with them. And with the focus that we've had and working with a lady named Marta Sanchez, she's the higher ed coordinator, I was telling her about our vision at Century, and she was very open to what we were doing and would be involved with helping us do the intake process. So for me, that was a big plus to have them involved.
Great, thank you.
I have one last question, and I think Mr. Hernandez may know this answer. Is Century High School has an all-female STEM program, correct? Okay.
They have a program called Chicas Tecnológicas or something like that.
That's different from this program.
That's all females. We're separate from this.
Got it. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Century High School within Santa Ana Unified School District, their pathway is STEM.
Beautiful. Thank you. Nothing further.
Thank you very much. I would like to invite our next speaker to present the proposal, that's America on Track.
And Chairwoman Ramos and the rest of the commission, I just want to note here, we are officially 10 minutes behind, but don't let that distract you from this extremely important process and deliberation for your nonprofit. And in order to maintain quorum, we do have to ask that Chairwoman Ramos, Vice Chair Santana, Commissioner Perez, and Commissioner Tarver do remain in the room, but we do have cookies and coffee if the commission does need to take a break during this 4-hour process of presentation. So, thanks.
Thank you, and just before you begin, I would like to encourage all of the commissioners to ask a question to every single presenter. So we'll just go down the row. If you have any additional questions after you've spoken, you can just wait until everyone else has an opportunity.
Just in case.
Sorry, go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Claire Miller. I'm the Executive Director and Co-founder of America Track, and here to share information with you about the proposal on our Brighter Futures for Children Prisoners program. And just as a little bit of background, really everything that we do is about hope, opportunities, and life-transforming programs, and that's really at the soul of what we're doing when we get children involved with the programs at America Track. We win a lot of awards for the work we do. We're very passionate about changing children's lives through long-term youth engagement and really making sure that because we were involved in their lives and their families' lives, that was a positive experience and that their life was a tiny bit better because we worked together. And part of that is building youth leaders. A lot of you may know us in Santa Ana from some of our other programs as well. And working with youth leaders at the core of what we do, whether it's in our tobacco prevention programs, in our emerging leaders program, in our nutrition programs, or in our Brighter Futures programs, really showing young people that they can make a huge difference in their own lives and in their communities. We serve a lot of individuals throughout the county, and we're very fiscally efficient with 91 cents of every dollar going directly to program services. And one of the things we're really proud of is we do use a science-based evaluation firm to measure all of our programs to make sure that it's not just us thinking, wow, we're doing such a good job at getting the researchers in and make sure that what we're intending to happen is actually happening. Otherwise, we need to adjust and refine and make sure that we're getting the results that we want to get. So on the Brighter Futures program, this is really the baby of America on Track because we truly believe that every child does deserve to discover a brighter future, and so often the kids who have one or both parents incarcerated don't have that sense of hope, don't know what the future can hold for them, and they're just living day by day with really horrendous circumstances that so many of us can't imagine. That they go to school every day, that they get up, that they can smile each day, and so being able to provide these kids with some happiness and some brightness and some paths for their future is really important to us. So it's a really comprehensive program where we provide these kids with a safety net where they know that America Track is there for them no matter what. And one of the components is that they have a mentor, an adult mentor who we recruit and train and screen before they're paired with them. Another one is our Colleges for Me Too summer camp, which is really exciting, a lot of fun for them. We also do STEM workshops out in the community. And in a couple of weeks, we're going to be touring that new county building, and they're super excited about that. Our offices are right here. We've been watching that go up, so they're very excited about that. And a special tour. One of our adult mentors, her mom is the architect for that building, so she's able to arrange a special tour for these kids to see how something's built in their own community. We provide resources for the guardians and the families, because oftentimes they are in really tough situations with 97% of the guardians are female. They are either the mother or the grandmother or a foster mother for these children. And they are having a lot of challenges, one financially, because the other guardian is no longer able to provide financial resources, but also just managing and helping children be successful when you have to worry about having an extra job, when you don't have that extra adult there to help you with everything and all the different challenges that they're facing. So we want to make sure we're supporting those guardians as well. And every time one of the children either come to our office or come to one of our events, so they get brand new books. They get 2 or 3 books that they get to choose that are age appropriate, that are exciting to them. And we have a lot of fun special events for the kids. So there's stuff going on all year long, every month, every week, to keep these kids engaged and to help them see that there's so much more out there for them, that they do not have to follow in the footsteps of their incarcerated parent. So the mentors are required to meet with the children for minimum of 2 hours once a week for a minimum of a year. We have mentors who've literally been with us for 14 years, but they're not required to stay that long. They stay for a year, and they serve as a friend and a role model and really allow these kids to have an opportunity to be a kid. We have a fundraising event coming up on Sunday, and our guest speaker is a little boy from St. Anna. His name is Angel, and he just turned 12 years old, and for the past two years, he's lived with 7 family members in a minivan, and his mom, both parents were on drugs, dad's incarcerated now, and since the age of 5, he has been the mother and the father to his 3 little brothers and his 1 little sister, because mom was too out of it on drugs. So at night when the babies cried, he got up, he made sure they were fed, he made sure that there was food, he made sure that they got showered with a hose behind the building. So he has not had a lot of time for fun in his life, and he deserves that. And he lives up to his name. He's an amazing little boy. And so this is just a time for him to go out with his mentor who he loves. And it's not to replace the guardians, it's to just let them have a couple of hours a week where they don't have to take care of anyone else, that they can just have fun and be a kid at 12 years old and not worry about taking care of everyone else. A lot more comes with it, but really that's one of the nicest features of having a mentor, is to just be a kid and get exposed to exciting new things with someone else. Our Colleges for Me Too summer camp is the highlight of the year for our kids. They get to live in the dorms for 3 days and experience college life, and partner with the kinesiology department, do STEM events, do fitness, just have a ton of fun. Eat a lot of good food. That's always their favorite thing too, is we serve really good food and they can have as much of it as they want. And of course the desserts tend to be a favorite. As I mentioned, we do STEM workshops. They built balloon towers and had a ton of fun with that, and more slime worms, and then architectural tours. We do special outings with boat cruises at the Honda Center. We took them to the men's figure skating championship. They had no idea what that was before, and then they were like, "Oh, this is so cool! They're such amazing athletes." So it was fun to take. It's always fun to take them to different outings, and it really is changing their lives. It changes our lives to be able to be a part of their lives, and it makes such a difference for them. Incarceration is a huge problem that we need to address, and this is one step in the right direction with each child, that we make sure we're following those footsteps. And it makes a big difference to these kids that really feel like they have a home and a place to fall back and get that support when things are really not great at home. Thank you.
Thank you. Who would like to begin with questions?
So I was looking at the last 2 years funding limiting, you actually were allocated to provide services to 235 students, but you only reached 161, which is only 68% of your population objective to be served. This year, I'm looking at your numbers, and you're at 66% as of December 31st. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I can. Actually, the prior year we had allocated, the numbers were based on both children and their guardians. And which the information you don't have on there is that the number of children of prisoners was exceeded. But when we ran the calculation of how many, we know of course there's just one guardian, but in terms of the additional family members that would come to different events, we had overestimated on that number, so that the children, the siblings portion had fallen short, but we exceeded in terms of the child and prisoner who was matched with a mentor and came to all of those different events. It was for the ancillary services where we thought the families would be bigger and they were smaller than we anticipated for that particular one. And this year we're at a schedule, we're at 66% halfway through the year. So we're doing well and have since learned how to gauge the number of siblings. We just overestimated on the number of siblings on that particular year.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Perez. Commissioner Frazier?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Target?
No questions. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. Commissioner Limon?
Yes, I have a question. How are the children recruited?
It's a really difficult process. We do so much outreach on an ongoing basis. We have relationships with the schools. We are constantly getting the word out there with school counselors, with other youth serving organizations, with social services, with police departments. It just, these kids don't wear signs. It's not something that they want to advertise. So it's really a lot of connecting with other adults that are working with young people and letting them know that there's this opportunity if they learn that that's a kid, that child is in that type of situation. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of phone calls on an ongoing basis.
Thank you, Commissioner Limon. Commissioner Santana?
No questions.
Thank you. I have two questions. First of all, thank you for the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
I think it's very needed. My first question is there any component to your program that focuses on social emotional development?
Yeah, so the time with the mentors is really that time because that's the biggest focus. We're not focused on their academic grades at this point. We are focused on these young people believing in themselves and feeling good about themselves and having hope, because the other things will come. If you don't have hope, if you don't believe that you're valuable, that you're worthwhile, the other things don't matter. So absolutely, it's that time with the mentors where they really know that they're special, that we can get them resources when traumatic things happen. We have a lot of crisis that comes through our doors with the families, with siblings, with parents. So we are making sure that we're communicating with, it's a whole team of us. We're making sure we're connected with the schools and what resources and support and or therapy if they need that. And letting the mentors know, and then our staff being a team with those guardians to make sure that people's needs are met. But first and foremost, making these kids feel good and special and loved.
Thank you. And then my second question is regarding the number of individuals that you're proposing to serve. So I see that the number this year is 300, and last year it was 235. Has there been an increase in your staff capacity or an increase in resources that will now allow you to serve that additional 65?
Yeah, we've actually, the increase in our capacity as an organization, we've grown over the last 2 years significantly. We've doubled our office space, we've doubled our staff, so we have a larger infrastructure to support that, and we've really been working hard at making sure that every school in Santa Ana knows about these resources so that we can meet the need, because we know there's a lot more children in this situation that could use our help and that could really benefit, so we want to make sure that we're tapping into as many of them as possible.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions from commissioners? Seeing as there are none, thank you for your I would now like to invite our next speaker to present the proposal, and that is the Boys and Girls Club of Santa Ana.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Travis Witten, and I'm here with the Boys and Girls Club of Santa Ana. I'm joined by two of my colleagues, and I'd like to first off thank everyone for taking the time to read our proposal and to hear what we have to say today, as long as all the other organizations that are here. I know your decision is not an easy one, so good luck in the process. Some of the commission you may know, our Boys and Girls Club, we've been a presence in the city of Santa Ana for over 65 years. For 65 years, we've provided resources, mentors, and guidance to countless young people that have grown up in the city, and we're extremely proud of the work and the impact that we've created. For this CDBG grant, the proposal that we submitted was for our College Bound program. College Bound, in its essence, is a one-on-one mentorship program with professional staff to guide kids on the process through high school graduation and attaining a college education. I don't know if any of you have kids that have gone through this process, or maybe you have kids that are about to go through this process. I know that as a father of two young kids, it's pretty daunting to think about everything that these kids have to take on. And for many of the kids that we serve, they don't have parents that have gone to college, they don't have parents that have graduated from high school, so having a mentor that can help guide them through this process is critical, and it's one that we really believe in. As I mentioned before, College Bound provides one-on-one access for kids to meet with a professional mentor. We don't discriminate based on GPA, so the program is open up to all kids. And it really is working with our partners and friends at Santa Ana Unified to find the students that need the support the most and making sure that they have this guidance. We have three really critical goals of College Bound. Number one is that every student progresses to the next grade on time. Number two, that they graduate on time, and that they graduate with a plan for their future that is financially sustainable. And those are three really critical measures there. I've handed out a little flyer for everyone that shows some of the outcomes and data that we've tracked over the last 5 years since this program was launched. Outcomes and data, right? That's what everyone wants to know about. We have outcomes that we're very proud of. 5 years ago, when we launched this program at our teen center on Highland Street, just down the road, we served 47 teens in that pilot program, of which 9 graduated on time, and 100% of them moved on to either higher education or military service. Last year, the program expanded to serve 852 Santa Ana teens at 8 sites across the city. We again were able to achieve 100% on-time high school graduation, and 100% of the kids are either pursuing a higher education or military service right now. This current year that we're in right now, we've expanded. We're approximately going to serve 1,000 Santa Ana teens across 9 sites in the city. And upon the high school graduation coming up in a couple months, we expect to see similar outcomes to what we've seen in the past. This past year, we're also able to secure almost $1.4 million in scholarships, grants, and financial aid for the graduating seniors. Making sure that they have a financially sustainable path is incredibly important as well. I'd also like to share a story about a young woman that I had the privilege of meeting last year. Her name is Yesenia. She's currently at Cal State Fullerton. She's pursuing a degree in criminology. And the reason why her story is so amazing is that she said during her sophomore year, when she was introduced to her college-bound academic advisor, she was on the verge of dropping out. And upon meeting this academic advisor and getting the mentorship and resources that she received through the college-bound program, she was able to turn around her situation, and we see where she is today. And Yesenia and the hundreds of other kids that we serve through this program and through our club as a whole, that's what we're excited about. That's what we're passionate about. This is a critical program that prevents kids from dropping out of high school early. It prevents them from engaging in high-risk behaviors, and it puts them on a track to be contributing, successful members of the Santa Ana community in the future. Thank you again for your time, and if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll start on Commissioner Santana. Do you have any questions?
Great. Yes. Just really quick, you mentioned 8 sites. Can you name those 8 sites, sir?
I do. They're listed here on the sheet. We have our Garage Teen Center at our Boys and Girls Club. Santa Ana High School, Saddleback High School, Valley High School, Century High School, Seagrove High School, the Samueli Academy, and the Nova Academy.
Beautiful. I know that sometimes I'm a product from the Boys and Girls Club, so a lot of great things happen from the club, and I'm happy to be on this side of the diocese. But I'm glad that we are finally reaching out to our teens. It's a good program, especially getting kids into college. It's a great deal, and I'm further.
Thank you. Commissioner Limon.
I have no questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Carter.
Thank you for your presentation. I don't have any questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Frazier.
Thank you for your presentation. What is the total operating cost for this particular program? All inclusive?
So the entire program, we operate across 3 cities. We actually also serve students in Costa Mesa and Orange as well. I believe that the budget that we submitted was approximately $800,000. I'm sorry, I don't have it in front of me.
65,000 for this one here.
Oh, for the grant proposal ask, yes, correct.
But I was asking actually about the college-bound program itself, your operating costs over the year. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Curtis.
Thank you. Great presentation. I'm a byproduct of the Boys and Girls Club as well. Worked in their national office and been very involved with them. Outcomes are really important to me as an educator. As I look at outcomes back in years 16, 17, you were projected to provide services to 50 students. You actually missed that year, and you only did 39 students of the 50. I don't know if you were with the organization at that point in time, but you did miss some CDBG funding goals and objectives. Do you know what happened at that time?
It's sort of, looking back on that, I was with the organization, and I don't know the specifics of why we didn't meet that specific metric with the grant. I can certainly follow up and get you that answer.
Excellent. Next question is, I saw in the qualifications you talked a lot about Mr. Santana and his experience in law enforcement. What's the experience of those actually individuals that are providing the services? Are they AG certified? Are they school counselor background? What's their background on financial aid and that information?
Great question. Thank you for asking that. The majority of the academic advisors that we hire have a 4-year degree, and they're usually looking to move into a career in counseling or youth services, somewhere where our club in this role is a good stepping stone. So they are coming with that background in a higher education. They then go to an extensive training program that the club provides to make sure that they have those exact resources, A through G requirements, financial aid requirements. It's a very in-depth training process, so we don't just hire somebody and then throw them into this program. They have to go through a really regimented training process to make sure that they're ready to serve these kids.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Perez. I just have one question. So if we look at the number of individuals that you plan to serve in fiscal year 2017 through 2018, you propose that you would serve 75 students, but you actually serve 149, which I think is great. You exceeded that. You surpassed that number. You almost doubled that. So this year you are proposing to serve
100.
100.
Yep.
Do you expect to surpass that number?
That's our goal. I mean, we've seen, as you can see from this outcomes, the demand for this program has been extreme. We want to make sure that we're building a path that's sustainable and that we're setting goals that we can achieve. We believe that 100 is a solid number that we can track and make sure that we're managing this grant in compliance. But as always, what we try to do is be as efficient as possible with every resource that we have to serve as many kids as we can.
Thank you. That's it for me. Do commissioners have any last minute questions? Go ahead.
Thank you, actually. I was kind of curious, you're wanting to serve 100, and you had mentioned that you actually served 3 different sites across 3 different cities. How many of the people that you served in last year, how many of those were Santa Ana residents?
So of the metrics that are listed here on this paper, these are all just Santa Ana kids.
Those are just Santa Ana.
Yeah, so in total, last year I believe it was about 975 teens, of which 852 are Santa Ana residents.
Okay.
The vast majority of our service is in Santa Ana.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
To piggyback off that comment, from the 8 sites and your 100 would garage be the hub of this program, or?
So the Garage Teen Center is always, and the club as a whole on Highland is the hub of our service model. What we do is we work with partners, and especially in this case, Santa Ana Unified, to leverage the infrastructure that they already have to serve hundreds more kids than if we tried to just serve them at the club in Santa Ana. For this model, what we would probably do is look at Santa Ana High School, where we would deliver the majority of these resources. Santa Ana High School is less than a quarter of a mile away from our Boys and Girls Club, so it's an extreme. They've also been a great partner since the program's inception. I think that's where we would serve these kids.
Beautiful, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
I would like to invite our next speaker to present the proposal, and that's Charitable Ventures of Orange County for the Summer Nightlife Program.
Can I make a quick announcement before the presentation begins?
Go ahead.
Awesome. So Charitable Venture falls into my association as a resident of NPNA, and I'm also one of the board members for Charitable Venture, so it's a full disclosure on that.
If I may also, our staff are providing warning in terms of the time, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having us. My name is Angela Alvarez, and I'm the current secretary of the Madison Park Neighborhood Association.
My name is Angie Gomez, I'm the current vice president.
Okay, so we'll start by telling you a little bit about who we are and what we do. And so the Madison Park Neighborhood Association created a nonprofit branch called the GREEN Project. So GREEN stands for Getting Residents Engaged in Exercise and Nutrition. And we have three main areas of focus. The first one is health and wellness. So we currently offer Zumba, bootcamp, and cardio for our adults. We also have monthly health talks with the doctor, as well as cooking demos in collaboration with Valley High School students and the culinary program. We also offer soccer and Puerto Rico for our kids. Our second main area of focus is youth development. Our main program is the Alma STEM Science Academy, so kids get a feel of what being a medical student is like, and we just started our engineering session as well. In addition, we also have a high school mentorship program. Our third main area of focus is safe neighborhoods, so we have an annual walkathon, and we recently started our community building initiative as well as an environmental justice initiative. So what is Madison Park neighborhood like? Our park, based on the data, is a very young neighborhood. We are also a low-income neighborhood. Average household income is $61,000, and it doesn't sound too bad without considering that it's also a very dense area, which means that many families live in one single home or apartment.
And also, commissioners, please note that what you got is not the same as a PowerPoint, so we wanted to kind of time ourselves, so you just got a little bit more information in your packets than what we're giving you. What you just talked about was at the end of your packet, in case you were looking for it. So I'm going to talk a little bit of what is summer night lights. That's something we're proposing for our neighborhood, and basically what it is, it's Monday through Friday programming, where we're going to have different programs not only for youth, but also for the families, so dads, moms can come and join. I'll give you an example. When we do Zumba, it's not like the mom has to find daycare to go and participate. She goes to Zumba, and there's another classroom that takes care of daycare, which is a huge, I think, concern in our neighborhood, that they need to have proper daycare services. So we provide daycare for them for free, no cost. One of the important things that we do offer these programs is at no cost. I'm a true believer that in order to do justice to our community, we have to offer it at no cost, because as soon as we put a price point to it, we're excluding those that can't make it. We're excluding those that need it maybe, but can't afford it. One of the things we also offer is soccer on Saturdays, which is not listed on here, and that's why I'm mentioning it. So we have sports, we have dance, we have fitness. And in addition, what we're proposing, if we do get this grant funding, is having movie nights on Fridays, every Friday for the summer.
This is something really big in our neighborhood. We do not have movie nights at Madison. We had our first movie night that we did last year in September. We showed the movie Coco. We had over 400 residents show up. And the feel of community, it was just, you had to be there to really witness it. It's super important because our park, unfortunately, is not a park that we could go to and enjoy. I have 2 children of my own, and there's no way I take my children there when I'm by myself because we've had so many incidents of crime. And if you look at the end of the packet, you'll see the call for services in our area. It's the last 2 pages in your packet. And one of the places that we target are initiative neighborhoods, which is Cedar Evergreen and Mindy Street, which is the surrounding neighborhoods that are from Madison Park. So when we have the movie night, it wasn't just Madison Park, our neighborhoods that showed up, or the kids that are from Madison Elementary. It's also the kids that come from Cedar Evergreen that go to other schools, or Little Minnie as we call it. So one of the most important things I think is to build a community with our residents and know that we care for them as a city and that they do have people that are going to vouch for them and help them in creating a safe environment. When there's people in the park, it is less likely for crimes to happen because there's people witnessing what's going on. So if somebody wants to commit a crime, they're not going to go where there's 400 people. So that's going to create safer parks in turn as well. I think that is it. If you guys have any questions, I'm a fast talker by nature. I apologize if I was spoke too fast.
Thank you. I'll start on my right this time. Commissioner Perez.
Excellent proposal, very well written. Great letter from Lisa Solomon.
Thank you.
Principal.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Very
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So congratulations on a well-written proposal.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Commissioner Perez. Commissioner Carrillo.
Thank you for your proposal, just very nice,
Thank you.
Commissioner Charlie.
No questions, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Commissioner Yuan.
What you're doing is very admirable. I have no questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Santana.
Of course, hey guys.
Hi.
So I think it'd be fun to have our commission go out on a weekend and actually visit and see the parents. I know last weekend the parents were very active, canvassing neighborhoods, speaking to parents one-on-one. Even if you go during the week, after 5, 6 o'clock, you can find parents at school with their children, feeling very comfortable and happy to be there. It's a very active association. You've done a tremendous job with. Can you speak a little bit more about Madres en Acción and all the other groups that come into Madison?
Sure. So I'm also a mother for children that attend Madison. I actually took out my kids from private school and put them in Madison because I believe Ms. Solomon, who is there currently, is just phenomenal. And going there was definitely something different, but in a good way. There's such a sense of community as a mom of kids that go to Madison. I know if I need anything, the moms know they need anything, they're able to go to the school and get the resources they need. So as far as partners, we partner up with UCI, who are probably our bigger, partners and collaborators. They actually do field trips with kids where they get little medical codes and they're able to dissect it over at UCI. And they go to an actual lab at UCI, and they not only get to, we get to tell them, yes, you dream of being a scientist, but we kind of put them there. We put on the codes, we take them to UCI, and they're able to do several different science experiments with certified professors.
So on top of all the different programs, we have NPNA Green, which is a different group that provides more services to our students first.
Yeah, so we are a neighborhood association, and so we serve on the board for the neighborhood association, and we run the meetings that we liaison with the city and the residents. But through that neighborhood association, we also have a nonprofit, which is Green, which is what we just presented to you about. And what the funding would do is kind of extend what we have in the summer. In the summer, we're not able to really program a lot because the school is closed and we don't have the funds to be able to provide the monies to have all these programs running. So what that would do is provide really things for the kids to do during the summer, which we all know if you have kids that work with you, summer is a really tough time because if the kids are not doing anything and they live in areas where it's at-risk areas where there's a lot of gang activity or a lot of crime activity, that's I think when we need to capture them. I happen for my job is working with at-risk youth, and I think a lot of times I get the kids when they're really far gone. when they're really doing a lot of bad choices. But a lot of times I think back, like, how can we prevent that? It's by doing preventative programs when they're in elementary school. We can't start changing or guiding kids once they're already, well, we could, but it's just harder when they've done so many years with the same thing that when we try to intervene when they're younger.
So, in other words, guys, this association is pretty active, and I think for the movie night, you had
Over 400.
more than 400 people. The biggest movie night in the city center, correct?
Yep.
From all associations?
Yes.
Good, perfect.
Yes.
No, that's it. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, I have a few questions.
Oh, there's no, sure. Thank you.
Well, first of all, thank you for your presentation. I really enjoyed that you're not just here to serve the community, but you're here to build community, which I think is very important. I think it's important that we don't just do charity work, but that we do community building and that we're empowering
That's what it is.
around with them. So your proposal sounds great. You're asking for a little bit over $30,000. You're planning to serve 1,200 individuals. It's about a $25 cost per client.
Right.
So I'm wondering, how are you going to measure engagement? How are you going to measure the community building that you plan to do?
How we're gonna measure it?
Yeah.
As far as like what outcomes we're gonna get?
And how are you going to be able to show that you're engaging with 1,200 individuals? Is it just
we
based off
we
event?
count the numbers that attend. So when we have programs Monday through Thursday, we have sign-in sheets that we count how many kids and how many adults are going through our program. When we have movie nights, it's literally us as volunteers and board members counting them as they go. That's how we do it. Yeah.
So will it be 1,200 different individuals, or are you going to just accumulate? Are you going to be adding up the number of attendees that you have at every event until it reaches 1,200?
Right. So sometimes, let's say it could. It's honestly, I think it's going to be a little bit more than 1,200, only because we're including movie nights every Friday in the summer. And I know the movie nights is a huge amount of number of people that we're going to serve. So what we're planning to do is, count the number of participants, the number of parents, the number of residents that come through our program, and then tally up whoever goes to movie night, and that will be like our general number times how many weeks the program runs, which I believe is 8.
Okay, and then just one last question. Do you know how many people live in the area that MPNA is serving?
I believe, I'm not sure if I have that information or not. The population is 8,535.
Okay, so you could easily reach 1,200 people without having to
Very
pay
easily.
funds.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. No more questions?
Sorry, are there any last questions?
Just for clarification, I think the question was, are you considering them unduplicated numbers versus duplicated?
That's gonna be hard, and we could try to figure out a way to unduplicate it, but it's gonna be hard when they're like in the park all over the place to kind of find out who is the one that does it. What we could do maybe, and I can see this working, as we have a sign before they enter the park, and that way we can have more control over it. So that's something that's like a requirement, we have a problem doing that.
I don't necessarily think it's a requirement, just a matter of
Yeah.
understanding. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to invite our next speaker to present the proposal, and that's going to be Community Action Partnership of Orange County.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Dolores Jarrett. I'm the Director of Community Partnerships and Services for Community Action Partnership of Orange County. I wanted to talk just a little bit about what our agency does. We've been around, we've been around for 50 years, so we have a lot of things to write about. We are a multi-service agency countywide. Anti-poverty is our focus. We've done lots of different things. We have 2 family resource centers. We have a very large nutrition, health, and wellness program that serves around 19,000 people a year. We have the Orange County Food Bank, which most of you know. We have the largest utility assistance program in the county. So we do lots of things. And our focus is anti-poverty. In my department, we run the family resource centers, do the nutrition education. And we're always looking, since anti-poverty is for a better way to do what we're doing. So our program is pretty new. I've run in the last 20 years several different economic case management programs, financial literacy programs, but I came across, and this came out of our Healthy Marriage program, which is a program where we work with couples to increase their communication skills, give them some conflict resolution skills, decision-making skills, goal skills. As I said, I've done financial literacy for years, but I wasn't seeing the outcomes that I wanted. We were giving people lots of information, but we weren't giving them the tools they needed to make changes in their lives. And while the healthy marriage does conflict, we knew that one of the biggest conversations or the problems with couples is money. The conversation about money is always something that couples bring up that they don't know how to resolve. So we do 2 weeks of financial empowerment in between the skills development. And as we were going through the curriculum, we started with financial literacy, and we were searching out a curriculum that we thought would make a difference. Again, it's not about knowledge. Financial literacy is great. They're great curriculums, but it doesn't result in action. So we do a financial empowerment curriculum that really has the tools to make people set goals that they can achieve with changing their behavior with money. So I've brought for all of you an example of the curriculum that we have here. It's in Spanish and English. I just brought the English one. This is just one of the tools that we have, but we looked at it and it was so practical. It was so easy to understand. It's called Your Money, Your Goals. And the reason I think it's so invaluable is it's not really based on knowing about money. It's based on knowing about what do you want in your life, and what kinds of information will help you achieve it. What kind of steps can you take to do that? So I've turned this upside down. The title of the curriculum is so much different than what I've done for it. It starts off with lessons on the money conversation. I know a lot of us are uncomfortable when talking about money in the United States. It's either we talk about it because we're bragging we have it, or we're uncomfortable because we don't have it. And it isn't really then a tool that we use to make our lives better. Some of them else are the cultures, the values, how we make decisions, setting goals, planning. It has great curriculum. We chose it not just because it had great curriculum, but it has standalone curriculum. So we can do 1 lesson, we can do 6 lessons, we can do 3 lessons. We've designed it so it's very flexible. In the Healthy Relationship Program, they do 2 lessons. And the reason we went after funding to do more than the 2 lessons is the couples kept telling us we want more. So we got some funding so we could do an expanded series. And a lot of our participants in the first 8 months have been those couples. We serve youth, couples, and singles in that program, and they've been the ones that said, we want more. We want to take this to the next level. We want to learn not just how to bank, not how to open a savings account, but some people do need that. Some people don't have financial. But how do I reduce my debt? How do I improve my credit? What is my credit score? How do I find out what it is? So in our other program, we actually do an assessment, because with financial services, with financial literacy, financial empowerment, you have to start where they're interested. If you don't talk about, and we do, as I said, youth, singles, and couples, we can't talk about youth with trying to buy a house. It has some interest in it. But we can talk about them, how do I get a car? Or how do I save for college? So we start wherever the participants are at. It's an expensive program. I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to see 1,200 people, because we ask people to come for 6 sessions. Because we know that there has to be a certain level of knowledge, and there has to be a certain amount of time spent identifying the goals that are going to make a difference to their lives. But we have some really good successes. In our program, and again, it's short term for the standalone program, it's 8 months. We had 22 youth go through the 5 to 6 session. It was different sites. 15 of them have started savings accounts for higher education. We've had 3 of our participants start their own business. I think in our proposal we talked about one of the couples that had been driving and doing, picking up, hauling from construction sites. They had so frustrated that they were dependent on when someone would call them, so that they set goals to save enough money to buy a truck to open their own business. And now they have a lot more control over their finances because they can go out and get business, not as an independent contractor, but as a business with other construction businesses. Another part of our program is we do follow-up. So in 3 months, We call back and we find out where they are. Of the 80%, we've been able to reach 80%. There's an increased cash and money management between them. There's increased debt and credit sense. But most of all, because this is a federal curriculum, the whole goal is to increase their sense of financial well-being. As I started to describe it, most people are owned by their money, and we want people to own their money. And that's the essence of our program. And a real quick one that doesn't have a slide, but I would be remiss if I didn't talk to you. I also gave you a sheet that said what to bring for taxes. So we know it isn't just about financial development, economic development isn't just about what I do with 125 people, but it's really how we change the dynamic on a larger scale. So we promote free income tax service. If you know anybody that's under 60,000, I'm not asking for money, I'm just promoting the program. Please, they don't need to pay for it. They can get it for free. And the average, we did 1,200 returns last year. The average return was $1,800. Our goal this year is to do 1,500. And the United Way does a program throughout the county, so we're not the only ones doing it. We brought back at 1,200 returns $1.5 million in refunds. Our year goal this year is 1,500, $2 million in refunds. But that's not enough unless we can convert some of the refund money into assets. So our goal is to convert anywhere from 2 to 5% into assets. To talk about people when they're getting their taxes done, do you have a savings account? As little as $400 or $500 can forestall 80% of the emergencies that will happen in any family. So I say 4 to 5 because there's been 2 major studies, one said 400, one said 500. That's a ticket, a car repair, a kid going into a sports program. $500 is all it takes to provide a safety net financially for our families. Any questions?
I'll start when I left, Commissioner Santana.
Sure. Thank you for your presentation. Just really quick, I heard that you did some tax assistance, correct? For your, excuse me, caught me off guard. 1 second. No, I haven't mind that. Are you working with Cal EITC?
Where do Cal EITC?
Is that separate from?
No, you go in to get your taxes done, and it's as long as you do California returns, which most of our families do.
Right.
And if you qualify for EITC, there's a chance Cal EITC has a lower threshold. So it's sort of an augmentation of EITC, which is the Earned Income Tax Credit, which allows low-income families to get more. So we're seeing, because this year, because of the tax reform, we're seeing lower returns. That's the commonplace. But Cal EITC brings most of those families up a little bit more.
So you're working with them?
Oh yeah, we do a lot of outreach on it. That's why I'm standing up here showing these, because that's what we do everywhere.
That's awesome. That was my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Limon.
Yes, I have 2 questions. So the proposed number.
Can you speak up? I'm sorry, I wear hearing aids and the microphones make it difficult.
Green light? Green light?
Yes.
Yeah, like talk.
It's very little.
Thank you. So I have 2 questions.
Sure.
Okay, so the proposed number to be served is 112. Where would these sessions take place?
Well, we've not locked down SMETA because we know we've been partners with them for years. But last year when I made a presentation, other sites asked for it. So rather than saying I'm going to do it here, here, and here, we've done the services at Minnie Street FRC. We've done them at Corbin Community Center. I'm really looking at the wellness centers that are now opening up at the schools. They have a desire to have economic development as part of what they do, and I think this would be such a great partnership, because one of the things about our program is it requires you come back 6 times, and so we need to create partnerships with agencies or services where we can depend on the clients coming. We have a retention rate of about 80% now that complete the program. We'd like to keep it up at that rate. We think that's where they're getting the most benefit.
Okay, you answered my second question. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Limon. Commissioner Tarver.
Thank you for your presentation. Do you have any questions?
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Frazier.
Yes, I have a couple questions. Thank you for your presentation. How old is the program itself?
I'm sorry, what?
How old is the program itself?
Well, Your Money, Your Goals is about 4 years old. It's a federally designed program. They've done all the research and data based on that. Our program started with Healthy Marriage, which is 5 years old. The independent economic development by itself is only 8 months old, 9 months old.
8 months old.
Yeah.
And how many sites offer the program in Santa Ana's city boundaries?
The two right now we do is Mini Street and Corbin.
Okay, so only two.
The only two right now with the funding that we have from the Office of Child Abuse Prevention. Interesting place to fund economic empowerment. They found that you reduce the risk of child abuse if you have a financially stable home. Makes sense.
How many sites outside of Santa Ana does this program exist?
We're in 12 family resource centers with Healthy Marriage, and so we do it there. For the extended program, we're only in 3 sites. We're in Anaheim, Independencia, Alameda, of course we own them, it's easy to be there, Alameda Family Resource Center. And I think we've done one more in Huntington Beach.
Okay, so and just let me clarify, just because the economic empowerment program that you're asking for funding for, that exists. You've done that at 2 places in Santa Ana, and where outside of Santa Ana have you performed that?
Anaheim Independencia Family Resource Center, Alameda Family Resource Center, and we're doing one in Oakview soon.
Okay, and the funding that you're looking for is strictly to go into?
It's to expand in Santa Ana.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Perez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm looking at your proposal, and the proposal, question 3 states, requested amount. You're requesting a minimum total amount of $75,000, and I look at your actual budget. Your budget is only $37,500.
I'm sure we must have put something wrong. The minimum was 30,000. If I just read it today, the maximum was 75.
Your minimum is 40,000 on the.
Okay, I knew there was a lower than 75. No, our program is 75,000. Our additional funding that we're getting from OCAP is $75,000 a year.
I can give you a copy of the budget that we have.
Okay.
So the last thing that I want to do is grade this and score it on the wrong amount. So
I'm sorry, what?
the last thing I want to do is grade this proposal on the wrong amount. So the current budget that's actually inside the proposal here, you can actually get a copy of this, an additional copy, is $37,500. In here, the maximum is you're asking for $75,000. The minimum you're asking for is $40,000.
So I think we thought 37.5 was over 2 years, 37 each year, so $75,000 for 2 years.
It's a 1-year proposal.
Yes.
I'm sorry, what?
It's a 1-year program.
Well, then someone in planning put it together wrong. So I can correct that if you'd like.
Do you know what the amount you're asking for?
They were asking, so I think they were asking for 2 years is what I'm listening to you say. I'm program and planning this staff.
No, believe me, I understand. I think as commissioners, we have a number here allocated, and you're reaching proposal to reach 125. Is that per year, 2 years? So now you're saying 2 years. So I think on our end, specifically me, I can't grade
Something that's not
accurate. So right now, all I have is the 37.5. I love what I'm hearing from your program. I think you're doing some wonderful things. I just need to accurately know what that amount is.
Yeah, what we're asking is 37.5. We'll just go with that. Because we were asking for, and so we'll drop the max and the minimum down.
So I want to just yield to staff very quickly. Once these applications are submitted, is there a way to update them, to change them whatsoever, or are we as commissioners forced to
Look
rank
at
them
them.
based off the applications that were submitted and received by the deadline?
Correct. Once they're submitted, we don't have the opportunity to provide any additional information. At this point, if the commissioners would like the nonprofits to follow up with further documents to provide clarification or anything else that you may wish, they could provide that to you to add to the application.
And then my second question is, are we able to allocate less money than the minimum funding request that they made? So their minimum funding request was for $40,000, and we're hearing that they wish that they would have requested $37,500. So are we able to grant them less than the minimum that they put on that application?
Yes.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Madam Chair. At the same time, though, I'm okay if we're okay for them to give us the true proposal amount. Because the last thing that I would want is not to have the true proposal amount. So the proposal that we have in front of us, the issue is it says two different things. One legal document states here 75,000 for the maximum and 40,000 for the minimum. So I know we're also going to be meeting on Thursday. So I think the problem is the budget doesn't correspond with what's being asked. So on my end, and if the commission's okay, is to get the right proposal because the budget-wise.
Thank you, Commissioner Perez. Just very quickly off that, I'd like to take a quick, very public straw poll. So I'm just going to ask these commissioners that are okay with us receiving additional documentation regarding the proposal and the accurate amount that they would like to request. If you can just please raise your hand. So if you are okay with that, please raise your hand at this time.
Should we have some advice from staff on this?
So from what I understood, it is okay that we receive any additional documentation, and we can request anything that we would like to see additionally from this applicant and any other applicant.
That's correct.
So with that said, I'll take the straw poll again. If you're okay with that, please raise your hand. So if we can receive the additional
I'll get it by you
documentation-
tomorrow.
Thank you.
No problem.
Are there any
Thank you
additional
for seeing
questions?
that.
Sorry, I just have one last question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I actually have a process question to
Go ahead.
Councilor Woolman. Do we have an in-place amendment process for these proposals after they're received after the deadline date? Is there an official, this is how we process that additional information?
Right, so this is part of that amendment process. So right now, they're going to do their presentations, and if you still continue to require clarification, you can request for them to follow up by email or by mail certain documents that you're required to allow you to make a decision on whether they're going to be funded and for what amount.
So within that process, what is the turn, do we set the turnaround for how long we have to receive that documentation from them?
So we have till March 7th. March 7th is the final day where we're going to meet and deliberate and make our final decisions and recommendation for council.
So it sounds
But
like
if,
we can
but
set
if the
it-
nonprofit can get that to us tomorrow, that would be great. The sooner the better.
Thank you for that.
And I just have a second process question. Maybe if you guys are legal counsel answer. But would you recommend that we did this more formally, added this to the agenda for Thursday's meeting, just allowing this applicant or any other applicant that may have made a mistake to resubmit a part of their application more formally, so that we're then all on the same page and looking at the same exact thing? I think I would feel more comfortable with that.
Yeah, it's certainly allowed to submit corrections to the application process. It probably would not require to be agendized at Thursday's meeting to allow that. I think this setting right now, because it's been agendized for this meeting and this discussion here, is sufficient to allow the applicants to submit further documentation to correct any mistakes that were in their application.
Okay, thank you. So just for transparency, any other applicants that are in the crowd, if there are any other corrections that you need to make, you are able to do so. If you can, I will ask that any corrections be submitted by Friday, and I will make this announcement again at Thursday's presentations. Thank you. And then my question was just, why is this program so expensive?
Because of the materials and the time we're spending with and we also, honestly, we do an incentive. If they finish the 6 sessions, we give them $50 to put towards a financial goal. So we actually incentivize their activity or their behavior towards financial improvements.
Thank you.
Sure.
Sorry, just one last thing. David, you made email that announcement I just made to everybody that will also be presenting on Thursday. So if they have any corrections to make, everyone has the same amount of time to send that in. Thank you. Thank you. And just very quickly for everybody in the audience, I would also like to announce that we do have validation. So before you leave, you can approach our recording secretary and she can validate the corrections. And one last thing, I just want to check in with my fellow commissioners. Would you all like to take a break now, or are you okay then? Go through a few more presentations.
How are we running on time?
Oh, 7 minutes over.
It's 4:37, we're just running 7 minutes behind.
I would say if we can get the break out of the way, because we can probably go through the rest. Since we're all here.
How's that?
I'm all.
Longer?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take a quick 5-minute break.
Okay. Yes. Okay, how many? 5, 7.
So you were at 7.
11. I brought this. Thank you.
You never know.
No, for the one. Yeah, it's a client story that we follow up with and complement the proposal. Oh, yeah, thank you.
That's a good question. The restroom.
If you go out the door, go to the right, and it's like right. Oh, it's just in here. This door. To the right.
Oh, that's right. Thank you.
So this is sort of.
Well, it's not a live stream, but it's recording on Yeah, and then once I upload well, and then I upload
Where the cookies and donuts inside?
There, you go out through that door, and there's another door right there.
How are we doing? Good. I really thought we were gonna be really behind, but 7 minutes not bad. Yeah. No, 12 minutes, 15 minutes maybe. Yeah, actually, yes. Because we were 3 times. I'm actually kind of cold. Did you get something to eat? Yeah, it's surprising how cold it is. When you're moving around, you're really warm, but then when you sit down, it's like cold. Do we stop?
Say it again? Oh, thank you.
Vice Chair Sana.
Thank you.
I'm going to invite our next speaker to come up. That is Community Health Initiative of Orange County. Maybe you need to wait until our vice chair speaks. Of course. If there's anything.
Thank you, sir. Great. Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. I appreciate this opportunity. My name is Georgina Maldonado. I am the Executive Director at Community Health Initiative of Orange County, also known as CHIA. So I will be using that acronym because our name is really long, and that's what actually we're known for by some of you here on the commission, but also by our community members. Our mission is to, am I the one who's supposed to move this?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. The clicker? Okay.
Yes.
Perfect. Our mission is to connect all children, families, and other adults to affordable and quality healthcare services. CHIAC has been around since 2006 through our program of Community Health Access, which is a model that we implemented when healthy families came to exist back in the early 2000s. And our model is the overall model: outreach, enrollment, retention, utilization. Outreach is to educate our community in Orange County about access to healthcare services and enrollment with Medi-Cal, Covered California, and CalFresh, CalWorks, and other social service programs. In addition to that, after we've identified an individual or family who needs enrollment services, we pre-qualify them for enrollment into any of the programs I just previously mentioned. After the client is effectuated with their enrollment, we also do what we call retention and utilization. So what does that mean? We educate the individual or family on how to self-navigate their benefits. One of the biggest advantages we've had in the recent 5 years is the expansion not only of Covered California, but also Medi-Cal. And so what happens is a lot of individuals are insured, but they don't know how to navigate their services, thus don't have the empowerment to self-advocate when trying to utilize their benefits. I want to give you a snapshot of our county-wide impact. In the last year, we enrolled about 5,000 people into Medi-Cal, CalWorks, CalFresh, WIC, and Covered California. We outreached to 23,000 individuals in Orange County. We attended 118 community events, about 60 Know Your Benefits workshops, which these workshops take about an hour and a half to educate our clients on how to navigate their services. In addition to that, with the retention utilization piece of our model, we conducted 18,000 touches, which means that we connected them to healthcare, dental, potentially mental health as well, and other services such as Cali ITC, any type of immigration referrals, and we found that the intersectionality between those two direct programs impact not only their economic stability, but their well-being overall. To give you a snapshot of our current CDBG funding and how it's being utilized, we have already assisted with your current support about 760 Santa Ana residents, our goal being 930. With that in mind, we are projecting that not only will we meet the goal, but potentially exceed the goal of 930. We've already attended 34 community events, which total about 2,800 Santa Ana residents. We have currently 7 enrollment sites just in Santa Ana, which is Probation, Healthcare Agency, Boys and Girls Club, Santa Ana WIC, KidWorks, Corbin Family Resource Center, and of course our site. In addition to that, your investment is also funding our office being open on Saturdays, 10 to 2. Additionally, we also have current community partnerships. As you can see the list, it's Comlink, Santa Ana Resource Network, Main Street Family Resource Center, the United Way, also our Health for All Santa Ana Building Healthy Communities. So that is your current investment in the organization, in the program. Our request is to continue this program as Santa Ana continues to be the highest uninsured rate in the county and lack of resources with our clients. What we're projecting to meet is about 1,500 low-income residents will be served in the Community Health Access Program, about 3,000 case management contacts, which is the retention utilization piece that I just mentioned about self-advocacy, and reaching 3,500 residents on educating them on access to affordable healthcare in addition to other resources that we offer. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll begin with questions on my right, Commissioner Harris.
Thank you very much. As many of you guys can tell, I'm very detail oriented and I'm always looking at outcomes. I'm an educator by heart. I thought the program was very well written. As I look at specifically outcomes and goals, last year 2018, you were proposed to reach 1,275 for an amount of 52,390. You guys, actually, let me double check it. You only reached 732. That's 57% that you guys did not reach.
I don't have those numbers off memory, I apologize. I should have brought the previous proposal.
Well, and I think, again, I can only speak for myself, as we make these very difficult decisions, because every single program is just so unique and it's out. And it's just kind of taking a look at, I'm really big at what have we done previously with these types of federal dollars. So the other question I had is, I look at the proposal, I saw that a lot of the additional services provided Saturday hours. Do you know by any chance what your numbers served on Saturday from 10 to 2 p.m. is?
Not off the top of my head, no. But I can get that to you.
So I guess that's something I would ask just to help me as I look at this proposal. Is in a sense, I know a previous funder came to the board and explained that they underrepresented the number of children from prisoners that they serve, which okay, I can understand that. So it would be good for me to understand, why we were 57% not reaching our numbers last year, and additionally, what our number, as far as people you reach on Saturdays from 10 to 2. You might not have that, and that's okay, but I think those would be two questions that would help me specifically as I'm looking at scoring a specific proposal.
I have to look at the final report, but I find it perplexing that we didn't meet the goal. I believe you though, I believe you, but I have to double check. As the executive director, I must double check. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, and I think I'm just going over every single, I have the record for the last 3 years, something that I requested when I came on. I wanted to know who has not received money, who has received money, what units of service have they served. So I'm, again, going off of the numbers reported to us. So it might be something to double check and look at, and if we're wrong on our end, it would be something for us to take a look at as well.
No.
But yeah, I love what you wrote, I love what you're talking about. It's just as we make these difficult decisions, it's just something to consider. Thank you.
No, not a problem.
Thank you, Commissioner, for this. Commissioner Frazier.
Thank you for your proposal. I guess I'm just a little confused that your price per unit, from what I can see here, you guys have not met the goal for total serves for the 2 years that you've asked for funding from the city. 1275, you served 732, and 937, you served 575. And the amount that you asked for went down, but your cost per unit is steadily going down. It's almost 50% of what it was on the first year that you asked for funding, where you only served 732 people.
Okay, if I recall correctly, last year, we modified our goal. The one you're talking to, it's all coming back to me. I remember everything. Yeah, I know these proposals inside and out. Last year, we had requested 50,000, but we ended up getting 37,000. So there was, like I said, I look at these budgets, I look at our goals, and if we get less money, then we reduce the number of people served due to capacity. And so that's why I said, wait a minute, I know last year we got about 37,000. The first year we got 52,000. See, it's coming back to me. And that's where I can come back and figure out what that may look like. Yeah.
Yeah, because I guess to follow that up is you were, that when you lowered your goals, you were at $66 per person or per unit, and now you're at $40 per person per unit.
Because we're increasing the number, yeah. So as the goal increases, the amount increases. Yeah, and then we adjust.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Carter.
Thank you for your presentation. I have a question.
Thank you, Commissioner Leon. Yes. Thank you, Commissioner Santana.
Quick question, small item. It's not a small item, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. I had the pleasure to work with your program policy director, Marion Reyes, and the work we do to help folks understand and navigate their health plan is very important in our community because it's constantly that a lot of folks just feel complex. And so, again, I think I would like to reach out to my fellow commissioners for us to go out and see the work that they do. I know we kind of get involved on different sides, but it'd be nice to go out and hopefully send an invitation so we can see the one-on-one you do with our community. And those are the questions, just more of the same. Nothing further.
Thank you. And then I just have one question. Well, first of all, thank you for the work that you're doing, and thank you for your very thorough presentation. If you can go back to, I believe it was the first slide, it talks about how many Santa Ana residents you serve this fall.
Currently, or?
So for this fiscal year, for the CDBG.
Current fiscal year, there they are.
So that's 760 low-income Santa Ana residents that you serve with your CDBG funds?
Between July 1st, the effectuation of the contract was July 1st through January 31st. We've already reached 760 low-income residents.
Okay, because on the some of the numbers that I have here say that from July 1st through December 31st of 2018, you served 575 Santa Ana residents. Does that sound accurate?
Yes.
So in the month of January, you served over 100 people?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner, are there any other commissioner questions?
I just wanted to make a comment. I'm very well in many organizations within this community, but anytime any member would like me to come to their facility, I will always venture out to take a look at any of our programs. I think though, as we look at proposals, when we look at what's being written, I really want to be objective.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the key is if we have one here organization, we receive those funds. So it's a lot of great work. But that's why I think it's important that I appreciate you, Madam Chair, allowing us to ask community members to come back, because you might come back with something that's going to satisfy us, like, okay, I can understand that. And I think, as a commissioners, do our due diligence to make sure we're asking the right questions and we're getting that information. We know that to our taxpayers, our community.
No, and I appreciate it, and you should be asking the questions. I think there was another question I have to follow up.
You can continue.
I know there was follow-up that you wanted to request regarding the Saturday numbers.
Yes.
Is there anything else?
I also want to follow up on the 17-18 allocation. You're right, it was 52,390. The proposal stated that 1,275 was needed to be met for the goals and objectives, and the end year result was 732, which is about 57% decline in missing that goal and objective.
Okay, so wait. You're telling me that 17.8, we didn't get awarded 52,000. We got awarded 37,000.
No, we got awarded 38,499.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was up by 1,000. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and then I know, Madam Chair just was asking a question in regards to what we did this year. I know 937 is what you're projected for this year, and I think you said your number was 730, which it looks like you're going to meet that goal and objective.
Yeah, and again, it was adjusted according to the funding allocation. We're very reasonable when it comes to that. I mean, it's something that we do every day with proposals. I mean, last night I was at Fun Park, and same thing. We're going to have to adjust the goal. So I appreciate the questions.
Thank you.
Commissioner Frazier? I just have one other question. And it's a service question. Does your service focus on case management of these individuals, or does it focus on client self-advocacy and really teaching them how to navigate this once you're gone?
It's both. It's both. We help them navigate the process for about a year, and then when they come back for renewal, by then we assess their knowledge and expertise and to self-advocate. But our goal is to develop self-advocacy.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any additional questions from commissioners?
Thank you very much. I really appreciate your honesty and your
absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would now like to invite our next speaker to present the proposal, and that's going to be court-appointed special advocate.
here this afternoon. My name is Jenny Leon. I'm a 10-year resident of Santa Ana, along with my husband, a Santa Ana native and teacher at Santa Ana High School, as well as 2 children at Upsall Academy. I want to start by thanking you for your service on behalf of our city, as well as this opportunity to come and share about our organization, CASA. I am the Chief Program Officer with CASA of Orange County, a powerful nonprofit organization that transforms the lives of local foster children. We are located on 17th Street in Santa Ana and have been serving the community for nearly 35 years. CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates. Our nonprofit is one of nearly 950 throughout the nation that recruits, trains, and supervises average citizens who become mentor advocates to youth in foster care. Today, there are nearly 3,100 children living in foster care in Orange County, over 400 of whom live right here in Santa Ana. Through no fault of their own, these kids have been removed from their homes due to extreme abuse and neglect. These children have suffered unspeakable trauma and desperately need one caring adult in their life to speak up for them. Without intervention, these children have a 42% chance of not graduating high school and a 50% chance of becoming homeless by the age of 24. Additionally, 80% of inmates in the California correctional system have spent some time in foster care. And sadly, due to the extreme trauma they experience, foster youth suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder at twice the rate of returning military veterans. They need our help. This is where CASA steps in. After 30 hours of comprehensive training, community volunteers are sworn in by a local judge and then matched with one foster youth at a time. They get to know everything about these abused children and become their mentors and advocates. They make crucial recommendations regarding their youth's case to local dependency judges. Most judges carry incredibly heavy caseloads, up to 1,000 cases per year, so they rely on the CASA's insight and knowledge of their child's unique needs to make the best decisions. Because CASA's only focus on one child at a time, they're able to spend more time with them and get to know their assigned child better than any other professional on the case. They're often the first person to learn the child's needs or challenges, and often have the best insight as to what solutions might be the most beneficial. Best of all, this innovative program works. Foster children with CASAs have a 92% chance of graduating from high school. They tend to have more stability and better outcomes in life. Specifically, we've asked for a $50,000 grant to support our Transitional Age Youth, or TAY program here in Santa Ana. TAY was created to help children ages 16 to 21 to prepare for successful adulthood. A majority of the youth we serve are referred to CASA because they have no stable, consistent adult to support them in pursuing their goals as they prepare for independent living. TAY CASAs support their teens through high school, emphasizing the importance of education for their financial futures and teaching them independent living skills to carry on into adulthood. Our CASAs advocate in court for foster youth to access enrichment activities, tutors, or other programs that help them to achieve academic success. CASAs also individually coach foster youth in basic financial matters, like how to open a bank account and how to access financial supports for foster youth. CASAs are often the first and sometimes only adults to explain basic costs of living like buying groceries and budgeting monthly utilities. Finally, CASAs work closely with their foster youth in seeking employment opportunities. CASAs coach their youth on how to write a resume, complete a job application, and dress for an interview, as well as the do's and don'ts when meeting a future employer. CASAs instill the idea that the ability to obtain a job and develop basic financial skills leads to economic opportunity, stability, and prosperity. I want you to know what a positive impact this program has on our local children. Our volunteers give over 65,000 hours of their time annually, saving the community more than $1.9 million. Our 700-member volunteer army is an innovative solution for ongoing issues in our society. And now, this is one of our CASA key supervisors, Yaritza, and she's going to share a specific story of being a CASA volunteer herself.
Hello, my name is Yaritza Amaton. I grew up in Santa Ana and graduated from Santa Ana Valley High School in 2008. For the last 5 years, I have worked at CASA Orange County as a case supervisor, working directly with 40 CASA volunteers each year. Before I worked at CASA, I myself served as a CASA volunteer for a little over a year. I wanted an opportunity at making a difference in at least one child's life. I had the great privilege to be matched with a 13-year-old girl named Danya. When I first met Danya, she was a student at Core Intermediate. She had been removed from her mother's care due to her mother's severe drug abuse. Danya was unhappy and struggled in school due to being faced with the problem of being separated from her loved ones. I met with her school counselor to collaboratively find solutions to her challenges. I knew that Donna needed a permanent home, so I worked closely with her social worker and the court to do so. In the end, I am happy to say that Donna was adopted by her maternal grandparents.
grandparents. Donnie is now 18. She is in a loving home and had the opportunity at a happy, successful life, thanks to having a strong support system and a program like CASA in her life. In closing, our children fall in the foster care system to serve an opportunity at a happy, healthy childhood and a successful, stable adulthood. We humbly ask that you consider our request for funding to be able to continue to make a difference, one child at a time. Thank you so much for your consideration.
We'll turn it over to you all for questions, and I'm also going to invite up our Chief Advancement Officer, Rebecca Rada, who prepared the materials before you today.
Thank you. I'll begin with Vice Chair Santana. Thank you. Commissioner Limon.
Gee, I want to say one bookmark.
Okay. Thank you.
You can never have enough of those.
Commissioner Target.
Thank you for your presentation. Your facility is just a couple of blocks from where I live. Kids are always very, very well behaved.
Well, if you ever want to stop by or have a tour of the courthouse and what it's like to be a CASA and advocate on behalf of the child, we'd love to have you join us.
Thank you.
Commissioner Frazier.
Thank you for your proposal.
Commissioner Perez.
I just wanted to say, our fosters are our highest risk population for human trafficking, for dropout and drug use. You guys do an unbelievable job. Keep up the good work. Beautiful presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. And just reiterating what everybody else has said, thank you very much for the presentation and for the work that you're doing.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I would like to invite our next speaker to present the proposal. This will be Delhi Center for their scale, their project.
Oh, yes. I'm freezing, so I hope my teeth don't start chattering. Okay. Madam Chair and Commissioners, thank you so much for your service. You all have a tough job ahead of you, and I really sincerely appreciate your time and your dedication to this process. I'm Jenny Rios. I'm the CEO at Delhi Center, and I'm going to start with the Family's Economic Success Initiative that we have in partnership with Cielo, and John Hobson, the CEO of Cielo, is here with us. I'm going to kind of tell you a little bit about our strategy and then talk about what we're doing now and what we hope to do for next year. Our FES Success Ladder, or our Family Economic Success Initiative, which we call our FES, is based on a strategy and initiative that we've worked over the last couple of years in developing to serve residents of the Delhi neighborhood and also all of Santa Ana. And we're looking at, does this have a red? No, it doesn't. We're looking at taking people who start from any crisis and trying to move them up our economic ladder. And the majority, and that's not working, and the majority of our folks are at the lower end in crisis and vulnerable. So we have very, very hard to serve residents. And so for this year, I'm not quite sure that we're going to meet all of our numbers only because it's taking us so much longer than we had anticipated. But I'll talk a little bit about that as we move along. We have 4 basic components, including income supports, financial stability, workforce development, and business development. I don't want to go over this too much because you have it there on your handout. I want to focus more on our process also, which starts with outreach. And Delhi Center is the point of entry for the different services that we do. And then it leads to linkage of services to the number of partners that we work with and the services that we provide. And the goal is basically to help people make more money, to earn more, to keep more of what they earn, and to lead to achieve financial success. Some of the demographics, I'm sorry, I can't see it there. Some of the demographics, basically, of course, a high percentage of Latino families. We have a real high percentage of female clients, and of course that ends up being a real high percentage of single-family households. We have served 46 clients in our first 6 months, and out of those, you can see that we have very large households and very low income. In fact, more than 50% of our clients that we serve, I think it's something like 57%, have an income of $30,000 or less. When you combine that with the large household sizes of 5, 6 people per household, that gets to be a little bit more difficult and more of a challenge. One of the great outcomes that we've had with our clients is that we give priority status to the families that we serve because they are the lowest income for a lot of the services that we already provide at Delhi Center. And those are things like backpacks and our toy giveaway and our Easter baskets and a lot of different things that they get throughout the year. And again, because they are very low income, we try to give them a priority for those benefits. In the first 6 months, like I said, we've served 46 clients. The process starts with an orientation and a goals plan. All 46 have completed that. Only about 13 have completed a personal budget, and there's been some financial workshops, but the clients that we have worked with, they have been able to increase their income, reduce their debt, open up a savings account, and increase the amount that they have in savings. But this is it's a challenge because we've learned a lot of lessons. We've learned that the lowest income clients have the highest level of mistrust. When you have a program where you're doing an orientation and you do a needs assessment and a goal plan that requires them to bring personal information, there's not a whole lot of trust. It takes us many, many contacts to be able to get them to actually bring in that information that we need to really help them to actually effectuate a change in their financial lives. They also have the lowest capacity. So when you ask them, bring in your bank statement, bring in your bill statement, your credit card statement, most of them live on a cash economy. They don't have that kind of thing to put together so that they can start to build a budget or start to really assess their financial capacity and then make goals and plans for their future improvement. So we have to do customized case management, and it's very time consuming. And there's also a sense of desperation and hopelessness. We get a lot of folks that say, what's the point? Why should I even why should I even do a budget? Because I'm not going to be able to save money anyway. And so we have to overcome all of those obstacles that a lot of it is generated because of their status here in the United States, because of the political climate. There's just a lot of obstacles that we have to face. There's also a challenge that we have to face with, for example, our clients who are business, that we want to do a business startup in terms of getting their business license and those kinds of things that require other government agencies, and we have found that we have to intervene because we can't just do a workshop. In fact, I have one client who said she took some business development workshops at the Mexican consulate. I think it was a total of 16 workshops. And they came to us and they said, I still don't know what to do to start a business. I don't know where to go to get my business license. I don't know where to go. So we basically have to usher them through the process. It's not just a matter of a quick training session, because we have to take them step by step through the process. And so we have to provide a lot of support, and it is very time consuming. So for the 2019-2020 plan, we want to change our focus a little bit. We want to look at a gig economy kind of component, because there are a lot of folks who don't have the capacity to work a job, and we're finding that we need to take their talents and the skills that they have and try to transform those skills into a business or a contractor business that will earn them money with what they already know. We need to develop visuals because they need to actually see the results. For example, one client, we actually had to do a budget, and we actually finally got some information from them, and we did it on an Excel document. And by putting it on that document, they were able to see, if they just make a few adjustments here and there, what the outcome is in the balance of the savings account if they just do a little bit at a time. So the new plan has a couple of new components that we're hoping that you will fund so that we can continue to serve the residents of Santa Ana. Any questions? I think that was my beeper, right? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I'll be on my right with Commissioner Chris. We can come back to you with it.
I mean, I have quite a few questions. I'm trying to understand the two organizations kind of coming together and working. I'm looking at the budget, and I have quite a few questions on the budget as well. Can you explain to me the difference between your Delhi Center staff and the case manager versus the Cielo? Because when I'm looking at your measured outcomes and goals, your case manager from Delhi is on top, but on the bottom, it said it on the 3 as well. But you have a full FTE for the Delhi. So walk me through that process.
Okay, so the case manager is the one FTE.
Yes.
Okay, that person meets with the clients and opens up a case file.
Okay.
They do all of the eligibility and intake, they do a needs assessment, they do the goal plan, and they decide all of the different types of services that that client will need to be involved in order to meet their goals. And that case manager takes them step by step. So the case manager is the one that works face to face with the client on those, bringing in their personal documents, putting together their budget, and all of that. What Cielo does then is the case manager then, once they have, like right now we have about 5 business starter clients. So what the case manager does is works with those individual clients and then works with Cielo to bring in because we're going to start some computer classes in March for business startups. And the case manager works with the consultants at Cielo. The consultants at Cielo are the ones that actually do the business startup kinds of classes. And so the case manager works with the Cielo consultant to design the curriculum. They are the curriculum specialists. They are the ones that will do the actual computer class. But the case manager is the one that, for example, if one of the classes is about starting starting an email account. So they'll have that class, but they don't do it necessarily in that class. Then the case manager will take that client and take what they learned in that class and sit there with them to open up an email account. Okay. So the case manager is the one that is ushering them through the process. Once they get the classes and the workshops, then they take what they've learned and help them actually step by step go through the process of implementing what they learned in the classes that are offered by Cielo.
And then the assistant case manager?
The assistant case manager it's just taking so long that one case manager isn't able to do all of the follow-up phone calls and all of the getting the documents together and doing everything that's needed because of the capacity of the clients. That's why I'm saying I'm not sure if we're going to meet our numbers because it's just taking a lot longer than we thought, and we've discovered that one person is not enough. We need someone that helps with a lot of the follow-up activities.
Again, I'm just processing. So yes, it looks like you're not that far off your numbers, unlike other organizations.
Yeah, I'm used to being way ahead. It's like, okay, wait, what month is it?
So, well, I mean, you're at 98 and one's 110, so you're in the ballpark. I guess what I'm struggling with, 2 things. As I'm looking at your budget as well, I'm looking at your budget here in your amount, and I have a total budget of 113, and then I see you're requesting a maximum of 125. So we can maybe later. Your budget's not matching up. It's not as bad as others.
Right.
But as I'm looking at cost analysis of a program, we're looking at 100 individuals. We're paying for 2 full-time staff members, a case manager, assistant case manager. But in a sense, they're providing the handoff to the experts in the specific area or field, and they're managing it. Now, I know that takes a lot of time through that process. So, and then I know you guys are in the ballpark for this year, but last year, you actually overseeded your amount. You proposed 22.
I'm sorry, this is the first year that
On that program, okay. But
yeah.
You have so many in front of you, so.
Yeah.
Okay. So, that's kind of what my questions are in a sense. Give you a copy of the budget when you leave.
Right.
But it doesn't match up to the exact amount that you're asking for the max amount.
Right.
And just, you're not that far off.
Okay.
So.
I have to look at it. I'm so sorry.
It's okay.
I usually bring it with me to the presentation. presentations, but,
Can I ask a question for?
Yes, John.
Sure. John, can you tell me, can you break down the different programs that you're offering clients?
Sure. What we found is that we're kind of matching each person. We're teaching entrepreneurial basics and entrepreneurial mindset, so it's about responsibility, adaptability, those types of things in a classroom setting, and that's through a series of workshops. We're also teaching and starting with computer classes because that's the entry point. And we talked about trust earlier, and that's where most people build that trust with everybody. It also allows us to help them with their communication skills, helps them at home because most of their families need to get into computers for school and such. But that's our entry point, and then we're wrapping business pieces around that. And so we teach that entrepreneurial mindset, financial literacy, all the basics that go into it, and then take them deeper based on their needs. So if someone needs.
And how long is each curriculum roughly? 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks?
It's a series of classes. So we have one-off workshops, and then we have a series of classes which are 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay. And you're offering year round?
Yes. Yeah. We do it in quarterly, so they have to do the activity, and that's why I think we're going to see some higher numbers at the end. You have to stir up activity, and then we have classes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Frazier?
Thank you for your presentation. I'm kind of curious, having gone through something similar to this, excuse me. So you're teaching these, and I guess it's a service-based question. You're teaching these individuals. What kind of skin do you require that they put in this game?
I'm not sure I understand.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. So
I think it was further.
That's more for me.
Okay, good.
It's ownership, and so what we're teaching them is that they have to own their ideas. Just because they have an idea doesn't mean that we're going to give them anything. We're not requiring them to financially pay for any classes. We're not requiring them to do that. We will assist them with access to capital, though, when they've gone through the program. So our goal is that because technical assistance, we want the education first, we'll invest that, and then we'll help them get access to capital. So Santa Ana has a wonderful program that will reimburse for startup expenses. We're working with the local credit union to say, look, most people we're working with don't have that money to go get a business license. So how can we, with the education, then say, okay, we'll help you get a loan basically of 0 interest or a 1% loan to get that, go get all your startup expenses and then get that paid back. So that's the skin in the game, is that they've got to take it seriously and they've got to meet milestones for us to keep moving forward with it.
Okay, so it sounds like it's just their drive and their initiative.
Yes, they've got to show. We're not asking them to say.
One more thing, if I can add to that real quick, is that through the case management process, we do have a contract that goes over the requirements of the program and that they need to be willing to meet all those requirements. And then the other thing that we do is, as I mentioned, that they get priority enrollment for some, and they get priority for some of the other programs that we do. So that serves as an incentive also. They want to get in the program and make that commitment because they know there's going to be benefits to them for them throughout the year.
Okay, and I guess my last question is, so you're offering these computer courses to the individuals that make it through the first case manager to the secondary case manager that are building this business plan. Is that a separate space for those individuals, or are these courses going to be open to other individuals as well?
Right now, we're working with it's directed at the clients that we have, but the classes that we're going to have starting in March, I think that's actually a 7-week course, will be open to the public.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Carter?
Thank you for your presentation. I don't have any questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Limon?
I have a question. From what I've heard so far, are the people helped only for 1 year, or is it longer?
Well, as I mentioned, I'm not sure about meeting our objectives only because we have so many that we've already registered. Some of them that end up starting later, they won't have a full year of services, so some of those will probably roll over to the next year. And it might be that some who have received the full year of services also receive services because they're still continuing to meet their goals or add their goals. But then we'll have new people, every month as it progresses.
Okay. Thank you. Vice Chair Santana?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that thank you for allowing us to tour your facility. It was a great, we caught heavy rain that day, and we definitely miss Ceci Aguinaldo. She was a great commissioner to attend that meeting, but I wanted to say that my mom is actually part of your program, and she's trying to launch her business, and as being a full-time employee and not having the ability or the flexibility to help her, it brings great joy that she comes to your center and your staff to receive help and helping her, begin her first steps in launching her dream career or her business. So I've seen it firsthand at the center. I've seen the work you've done throughout the years, and extending to this is actually remarkable. So thank you for the work you did for the presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. And I just have one question, and I apologize if you've already answered it. But so this will be your second year in running this program.
It's the first year.
The next one will be second.
Yeah, the proposed program is the second year.
Second, yes. So you're in your first year now. You're currently serving 46 individuals.
Well, as of the first 6 months, as of December.
As of December 31st. Of those 46, does it seem that all 46 will complete the program, or are there? I guess I'm trying to ask, what is not more than just what is the buy-in of those that are participating, but how likely are individuals that start this program? How likely are they to complete the program? And I know it's hard to answer because you're in your first year.
I think it's very likely. The business ones are the little bit more difficult, but the other ones, their goals for the year will be whatever they set based on their own needs. So some of their goals might be just that they want to apply for college and get a scholarship or financial aid for a younger person. Somebody else's goal might be that they need to pay off a certain amount of debt. Another person's goal might be that they need a job. Another person's goal might be that they start a business. So the goals, for them to complete their goals, just depends on what their goals are. But I'm pretty sure that probably 90% will continue working throughout the year towards achieving those goals, and probably about 25 to 30% of those will continue for the next year because they just haven't gotten there yet.
Did you have something to add?
No, it's very much what happens is some people it takes a lot longer to achieve their goal. So it could take 2 years, 3 years. And that's really part of what we're helping them understand is that now might not be the right time. Maybe you need to go to get a job, a better paying job, but come back to this idea. And it's through the case management and sticking with them and making sure they're welcome rather than saying it's a one size fits all and come in and you're out. That's not the goal, is to keep them engaged for them to succeed.
Great, thank you. Are there any last minute questions from commissioners?
Yeah, actually, do have the correct budget. It is the correct dollar amount, so I apologize for that.
Thank you. I was going to say, no, I've really worked hard on that.
You have 3 proposals, so I'm looking at them.
You know what?
But I think they're errors. So I just want to let you know, I found it. If it's correct,
thank you
it's
so
the right
much.
dollar amount. So I just wanted to.
Okay. Did you have any questions on that budget?
No.
Okay,
it's
good.
not exciting, sorry.
All right, so let me just reply to that. I do have 3 projects.
Yes.
3 of them are currently funded. 1 of them is with a partner. The 3rd one is with another partner. And I do want to add that Delma Center is the only applicant that has partner applications because we definitely believe in collaboration because together we can bring the expertise together and create a little bit more of a positive outcome.
Well,
I just have to let it
listen, you're a valued organization within this community. You continue to show partnership. You continue to do a lot of beautiful things at your facility. You set up, so I applaud you for that.
Thank you so much.
Continue to do work.
That means a lot. Okay? All right. Sorry,
I
Commissioner, your question?
I just want to have a side note that maybe it might be interesting after your first full year to see some of that statistical and data as far as if you retain people or you told them that now is just not the time and all the statistical information that you were going over. I think I'd like to see that.
And we have pages and pages and files of data that hopefully we can compile into some kind of a user-friendly process that you can see that. Yeah, thank you. That'd be great. Thanks. We'll work on that.
Thank you. I would now like to invite our next speaker to the proposal. That's going to be Delma Center with Alvin.
now calling School Break Day Camp. And this year, Delhi Center is taking the lead so that we're able to provide a little bit more support to Albee, and so that we can put our expertise to use and Albee can be free to put their expertise to use, which is basically the instruction and the professional teachers. So Albee, did I do this? I'm sorry, let me see here. Okay, so in our for our 2019-2020 strategy, we hope to serve about 150 youths. And in this year, we have 2-day camps, a winter camp and a spring camp. And so for next year, we want to add a Thanksgiving camp. Basically, the concept is to have kind of like a summer day camp during other times of the year when children are on break from school. Because there is no such thing out there anymore. I mean, there's a lot during the summer, there's a lot during after school, but there is not a whole lot, if anything at all, during the school breaks. And so we provide the day camp from 7:30 in the morning until 5:30 in the evening, free of charge, during the days that the kids are out of school for those different holiday breaks. We work a total of 10 hours per day, and then they have different classes in the different theater and performing arts, and then they also bring in guest speakers, and then we also work on some social emotional skill building, and we do an end of camp production where we invite all the family members and the children can perform in front of their families. We have one family bonding assignment per camp and one parent workshop per camp. And again, as I mentioned, Delhi Center is the fiscal agent to provide that support for Albee. We want to continue with the outcomes that we have been seeing thus far. We have seen increased technical skills in the performing arts and improved life skills and also improved family bonding. And I want to talk about that a little bit because Albee is really good at doing things more of an academic type of process where you have lesson plans and you have pre and post tests and evaluations and that sort of thing, tracking the actual skills that are learned. And so for this current year, you can see the results there that we had for the winter camp, which happened in December and January. So you can see that from the pre-test to the post-test, there's been a very large increase in terms of what the students have learned in the performing arts based on California State performing arts standards in dance. We also have the social emotional skills that help to increase, help build character, interpersonal skills, self-awareness, and self-management. And the teachers use guided questions to help the children express their self-awareness and also to show their growth in these different areas here. And some of the kids that have told us things about how the camp has impacted them are very positive in terms of just demonstrating the fact that they are in a place that is safe and that the teachers show genuine concern and care for them. They love what they do, that their parents get to see what they do, and that they get to spend more time with their parents. That the feeling that they get is excitement and it's a challenge for them. So those are part of the way that we kind of document some of the outcomes. There's also one of the family activities that was done was called the Happy Box, where the families are taught how to, not only this one, but other activities as well, but this one in particular, they're taught how to bond and how to do activities with the family to help increase that family bonding. So the Happy Boxes, they get to select different items and they put it in their box, and then each member gets to describe the item that they chose and to explain to them why it makes them happy. So it helps them basically communicate and talk to each other and tell each other what it is about their family that they care about and about each other that makes them happy. And so these are some of the examples, some of the Happy Boxes that some of the kids created or some of the families created with their kids. And then we have some comments from some of the parents about just how the and the homework that they do at home and the activities that their kids do during school, how it has made an impact on their family, on their ability to communicate. One of the reasons that we do some of these social emotional things in the communication is because we have discovered that dad drops off the kid, mom doesn't know what time she's supposed to pick them up, dad doesn't know the mom's picking them up, mom doesn't know dad picked them up, and they don't know that they have a homework, and they don't know what they're supposed to bring, and there's no communication. And we've seen that over and over and over. So what HIPAA has and her teachers have done is to try to incorporate ways to get the family to focus in on each other and to talk and to communicate and to improve that communication. And then of course the singing and dancing and all of these activities really help the kids just get in there and express themselves. One of the things I do have to mention, another aspect, another feedback that we've gotten from the parents is that at the spring camp, at the end of camp performance, one of the dads came up to us and basically he was almost in tears. He just said, "I don't know what I would have done if you had not been here." We have 2 weeks that school is closed and there's no place to put my child. I don't have money to pay for a babysitter, and here they come, they're free, they're taken care of, they get breakfast and lunch and snack. And they have all these incredible teachers and all this incredible work that gets done with them, and there's activities with the parents. He's just flabbergasted that he just couldn't express his thankfulness enough, and we get that a lot from parents because, again, as I said, there really isn't that kind of program in Santa Ana. Perfect timing, because I'm done. Any questions?
I'll begin on my left with Commissioner Baxter and then.
Thank you, and I've actually got to personally see the shuttle box last year, not this year, but it's a good touch, and I've seen parents very active. Can you extend on the winter program?
I'll let Hiba talk about the winter program because she's the expert on the actual activities that happen.
Thank you.
Is that what you want? Yeah.
So this year for the winter program, not only do we teach them throughout the day and they get to exercise and learn all these technical skills of performing arts, but they also put on a culminating show with a lesson. All our shows come with a moral lesson. So this year for winter camp, we had them really look at technology and how it takes away from relationships. And so they based all these contemporary and hip-hop and stylish dances through the decades. So they really analyzed technology and the movement over the years and what's been lost in those relationships. And kids really, really felt that technology does take away from relationships. They really talked about that during our social emotional hours and wrote those things in their journals. And parents said a lot of things to us as well. So that's really what we focused on during the winter camp. And we also have our family bonding activities, where this year we really got them to exercise, dance together, and for spring coming up, we're doing some game shows with them, so the parent and the children get to compete against each other, all in fun fitness relays. So they're moving, they're exercising, and they're bonding.
Thank you, and it's such a fun show to watch though, and I actually enjoy when there's a bunch of students inside the center, and it just makes the building come alive. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Leon.
I have no questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Carter.
Thank you for your presentation. I don't have any questions, but I was able to tour your facility last year, and was very favorably impressed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Frazier.
I'm just curious, and I think I may have lost my question because I didn't write that. It looks. Well, can you come back to me after that?
Commissioner Harris.
Absolutely. Thank you for your presentation. I'm looking at goals and objectives from 17-18 for Aldi, and it looked like you received 56,679, you reached 235 students, and you only reached 161 that year. Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
You're looking at their one. we exceeded our numbers.
Isn't that?
You look at our contract, the Redevelopment.
The right button? Oh. So I'm looking at the. I'm right above the American track.
Yes.
It's the same. Oh, it's out. Oh, it's the
Oh,
same.
so Albee, you recited the numbers from our contract. This is Albee where they received $61,557.
Mine shows the double.
We may need to verify the numbers.
Oh, yeah, that's, sorry, I produced this.
It looks like there's two numbers given. So you did not receive money in 17-18, correct?
Correct. No, wasn't it 18, 19?
Did you receive in 17-18 as well?
Oh, you did.
Yes,
Yeah,
this
you
is our
did.
second
That's right.
year.
Okay, so then my number here is correct.
No, we exceeded, I don't have that exact number on me, I can get that to you, but I believe we exceeded the numbers that we proposed by 74. Over.
Staff, if you can get, I'm looking at the information you provided us, and I don't know if there's any error on that.
The number that we provided is the number that was recorded and provided to HUD. That was their last quarterly report.
And then what about the year 17-18 last year?
Correct. For 17-18, they were funded to serve 235 clients, and the final count was 161 that was recorded to HUD.
Could there be a mistake? Because that's identical to our contract.
Those numbers are incorrect.
We could double check.
We can double check that.
Okay,
Fine.
and I can send that to you as well.
Yeah. And then this year, it looks like you are just one away from reaching your goal as well on one side. So you're providing services during Christmas break, Thanksgiving, and winter break,
And spring.
and spring break. Of the 150, how many are duplicated?
Of the 100.
No, actually,
Not,
what we'll end up doing is counting unduplicated numbers.
Okay, so it's 150
Yeah.
unduplicated.
And so then in spring break, we'll probably have some of those same kids.
Oh, yes.
But then we'll have more kids, and then
Exactly.
that total will be the unduplicated number.
So the total number is 150 and unduplicated that will participate for those various programs.
Yes.
Some of the programs could be for 2 days, some of them could be for 5 days, some of them could be for 10 days.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alvin, can you tell me a little bit more about your organization? I actually I've never heard of you guys.
okay.
And just like your staff and some, I looked here at some of the background. So it looks like you have a lot of background in music arts, theater, performing arts.
Yes. All our staff, all our teachers are educated and have an extensive background in entertainment and classroom management. We've been working with the school district, with our sister organization, Active Learning, since 2003, where we provide enrichment services both during school and after school programs. We're currently serving 52 schools, kindergarten through 8th grade. So our role in the school district is teaching dance education and musical theater. But beyond that, we also teach singing, theater, improv. Social emotional is always embedded within our classes. So Albie was born in 2015 as a nonprofit leg of our sister organization so that we can expand the services and provide more to Santa Ana families.
Excellent. What would the age population majority of these students be?
5 all the way up to 15. And we get every age group.
Every age group?
Yeah.
Okay.
The biggest chunk is our 7 to 11-year-olds.
7 to
But we
11.
do get every age group. And we actually get requests for younger, but we start at 5. Because we want to do something separate for early childhood. So this, for safety and liability reasons, we keep it from 5 up to 15.
Excellent.
And I wanted her to start at 7, but she sneaked in some 5 and 6-year-olds, but, you know.
That's a good thing. She's an artist. That's what we need as artists. Actually, I did one last question. It shows you some facilities costs on the budget. Is that because it's those times where people are off, they're doing things that are offset?
So we calculate the facilities cost based on our rental fees, and those rental fees have been put together based on what other organizations do, and also kind of what it costs us in terms of utilities and cleaning supplies and custodian and toilet paper and that kind of stuff, paper towels, all of that. And so what we've done is we donate that because that's, you know, the facilities. But what happens is then we're not able to rent it out to other people who might want to come and pay. But we do that just because it's so much of a need, and it's just during that period of time where we're just it's run over by these kids, and there's not much else we can do because there's just so many. They take up the whole center.
Excellent. Last question is, the total request amount was $65,210. The minimum is $64,054. Now, the majority of all of the applicants have significantly looked at a minimum cost. And the only reason I see that, I mean, as you can tell, everyone is worthy of these type of programs. You know, is there wiggle room to reduce that a little bit?
You know, that's based on what we're doing this year. And if you look at we're going to probably serve, it's going to cost almost the same as this year, but I think we're serving a little bit more. And it's really hard because then it really, it's not that if you reduce it a certain amount, then you reduce the same proportion of the number of kids. Because if you reduce it a certain amount, then I can't have one teacher, that's it. I have to cancel the whole class, which is about 20 kids. So it's really hard to reduce it because it basically covers the instructors that are there with the kids for 10 hours a day, each of those days. Yeah.
But as I look at the budget, and I look at the staff, and I look at all the programs, you know, I would hope there's a little wiggle room.
Yeah, there might be a little bit more wiggle room. I don't remember if I included staff to cover early mornings, and if Del Heights Center can probably donate that also, but I don't remember if I even included that.
Well, you actually even have director of operations at just 32 hours. You have your customer service rep.
So there might,
you know, there's
there might be some of that I can reduce a little.
Okay, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. And then I don't have any additional questions. I was also part of the last year. Thank you very much for the great work that you're doing. I think Commissioner Perez has some very good questions. So if there is any wiggle room, you can play a little bit with those numbers. Can you send that information to us? Certainly. Okay. Thank you.
Madam Chair. So I do have a clarification on the report that you guys have in front of you that we provided. So for fiscal year 17-18, LB was awarded a contract to serve 118 clients, and they serviced 167. That was their final count. So staff made a mistake on the report, so we apologize to them.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I knew I exceeded the numbers, so.
Okay, thank you.
What was that contract amount again?
It was 118, and their final count was 167.
For fiscal year
17-18.
Thank you. And then we have one more presentation from the Del Heights.
One more.
One more.
And Del Heights, that one is ours, okay? Because the other ones we're really working with other folks to bring the services to Santa Ana. And this one is Del Heights Center, so let's see if we can get this one up. Okay, here we are, and this is Teens Engaged in Learning and Leadership, which we like to call TEL, and our teams call it TEL. And we start with our process with a risk factor assessment, and we do an orientation and a skills assessment and a goal planning. It's kind of similar to what we do with the FES, where it's kind of a case management process. We open up a file for each kid, and we have some preliminary work that we do with each one. And I say kid, I should say teen, sorry, no offense to anyone, but everyone's a kid to me when you get to be my age. And then we, based on the goal planning for each individual, then we get them hooked up to the different components. But they do engage in each of the 4 components that we have here. And it's an internship. And I I am able to say that it's internship because the requirement for that is that they receive training and supervision, and they are trained as if they're on the job training. They also receive a lot of mentoring. They're able to build resiliency and build competencies. They do also classroom training. They, the current year, we added gang prevention, awareness and training, and we brought in guest speakers from like the Santa Ana PD and other nonprofits to teach them about risk factors and protective factors. Risk factors being those things in a child's life that increase the possibility that the risk that they will become engaged in gang activity or drug use or other negative behaviors. And the protective factors are those things in the child's life that will help build resiliency and will help them overcome those obstacles that they face through those risk factors. And the teens are actually learning those concepts. It's a strategy developed by the Office of Criminal Justice Planning way back years ago. And it also talks about the social development model, which talks about how if a young person bonds with a pro-social adult, or a teen in this case, someone who's very positive, then that child, that young person, is not going to want to disappoint them. And so that they're able to overcome a lot of those risk factors and then lead positive lives. So the teens are actually learning about risk and protective factors, they're learning how to mitigate the risk for their own lives, and they're learning how they can be a protective factor for younger children. And so we also do other classroom training such as leadership development and career and education, and they do volunteer community service, and they help us with some community events. So the studies have shown that this type of approach helps to build leadership skills, and it also helps to help them remain gang-free and to build social competencies. I don't want to go through all of those things there, but those are the things that we have been showing through the pre-post test, through the journaling, and other feedback that we've gotten from the teens. This is a comparison of our 2018, our current, the first program, because the proposed program is the third year for this program. So the first year, you can see that this is our income, our economic status. The first three bars there, or the first three sections there, are extremely low, very low, and low income. And we're seeing a lot more very low income students this year. And then the single family, female head of household is kind of about the same. We're always in there between 25 to 40%. So that's a little bit of a profile comparison last year, the first year to the second year. And this is our risk factors. So in the risk assessment, they list all of the things that they are exposed to. For example, the risk factors that are related to their school have to do with things like poor grades, lack of school involvement, truancy, and expulsion. And this year, we have a few less folks that are involved in school risk factors, peer, personal, individual risk factors, because last year we had some little bit more difficult kids. Not difficult, they just had more things in their lives that lots of obstacles, lots of risks. The thing that stands out for us, though, again, is the family risk factors, because the kids have told us if you grew up in the Delhi neighborhood, if you grew up in Santa Ana, a family member, you have family members who are gang involved, and it goes through generations, especially in the Delhi neighborhood, which is one of the oldest gangs in Santa Ana. So we have to focus more on the things that come up as high risk, and so we've started focusing more on the family risk factors, which is why we're making a few changes for the proposed program. The next slide shows you the number of contacts within the first 6 months and all of the different activities that they have actually done in the first 6 months. Those are the classroom topics that they have completed, the internship assignments, the community events, and the gang prevention classroom training that they have actually completed in the first 6 months. For the 2019-2020 changes, I was telling you, but she can't reduce her age, but we're going to reduce our ages also. We're currently only taking 16 to 19-year-olds, but we're going to reduce that next year to 14 because we've had some current program participants whose younger siblings are perhaps getting into trouble, or we've had other folks who have come to us, like from some of the day camps, to tell us they're having problems with some of their kids that are a little bit younger, and so we're going to go ahead and we want to lower the age to 14. We're also going to add some quarterly parent workshops, because of the high incidence of family risk factors and the way the program has been working this year. There also, again, with this program, there's a lot of miscommunication in the family, and there's a lot of misperceptions in the family about gang involvement and gang awareness, so we wanted to add some parent workshops. And the teens continue to ask for more, and so this year we're going to get them to help us design a teen center at Delhi Center. And they've already started. They've already done a focus group. We're working with Chavez High School, the Círculos program there, together with our teens. And in fact, we recruit a lot from those kids also. And they've already started helping us. We've done a lot of remodeling. Those of you who went to visit the center, you saw we have a mess right now, but they're going to be helping us design a teen center. The 2019-2020 projected service levels are there, and basically that's it. So this year what we're doing is doing the same thing, continuing with our program, adding some parent workshops, and getting the teens to help us with designing that teen space there at the center. Any questions?
Thank you. I'll begin on my left with Vice Chair Santana.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure hearing you speak about this program. I just want to make a quick comment. I think the park that the Delhi is adjacent to can be very much so utilized. So hopefully you can understand with the teams and your programs and you can go outside the box and work with the city, because I feel like that park needs a little love, but I think with having your program staff as well as your students and utilizing it would bring the park back to life.
Right. I just have to comment on that because during summer, we do use the park a lot for our summer day camp. Sometimes we can't go because there's a lot of homeless folks out there sitting literally in the playground apparatus with all of their belongings, and so we sometimes there's been times when I go out there to say, excuse us, we're going to bring kids out here, can we kind of like clear up? And there have been times when there have been some homeless folks that get a little antagonistic, and one of them even threatened one of the mom with a child, and so we have to deal with those issues on a regular basis, and we do what we can. But I think, and I'm working with the Parks and Recreation very closely, and so I think maybe now it's time to start seeing how we can work together on that issue. Yeah, I appreciate that.
So our park Madison faces the same issue as you guys do, and I know that there's plans for the city to build those beacons, those blue beacons, right? For park. But I think having more community engagement, parents active, really deters those folks from loitering around and being a nuisance. But it's just been thinking, because I know to bigger and better. So put that in the radar.
Yeah, we need to bring that CDI back. In fact, Madison Park started their CDI with a lot of input and worked with the Delhi Neighborhood Association CDI. So they're, I wanted to throw a shout out to Madison Park because they're doing great work. And in fact, they're going to have one of their community forums at Delhi Center, I think in a week or 2 weeks or something like that. So
thank you, Surya.
They're doing great work. Thanks. That's all we're reading.
Thank you. Commissioner Limon.
I have no questions.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Commissioner Carter.
Thank you for your presentation. I don't have any question.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Frazier.
Thank you for your presentation. I was just kind of curious. I wasn't able to go on the tour when it was raining, and I'm missing that now. I'd love to take a tour at some point in time. But I was curious as to you pulled out single-family head of household under the economic status for extremely low or economic status for your participants. Do you also serve single father head households?
Single head household, I think that one was single female just because I happened to be those kids. But we have done demographics for all of the kids that we served, and about 25% of all of the kids we serve come from a single parent household, and that can be a mother, a father, or a grandparent. But these kids in particular had a mom.
So 52%, you're saying 52% of these households are, that's what I'm confused about, is you pulled that demographic out. And I'm just confused why that demographic was pulled out and not say single family household, single father households.
Because for these kids, that demographic is female. So there's
so 100% of these kids had single
female household, yes. Yeah, they live with their mom only, yeah.
Okay. And the other thing that I was curious about is that you're planning on serving, what is this, 100 or you're planning on servicing about 25, is that right? 25 more individuals for this year?
I think last year we submitted the application for the same number, and we hoped to serve that number. When the budget was reduced, then we had to reduce our numbers.
Okay, I'm just curious, yeah, the cost per unit has gone down, and I didn't know if there was any particular reason, if something else is being subsidized somewhere else.
No, I think what I did was I changed things a little bit I'm always looking at ways to save money, so I think I just changed the structure a little bit in terms of who does what and how I think that's what ended up happening there.
So the number that you were served last year would match what was submitted to HUD's report for their quarterly reporting?
The number that we submitted in the application is different than the number we actually contracted for because the budget was reduced. So the amount that we contracted for is the number that we're going to be serving for this current program. Yeah, it's complicated because I guess when you ask for 100,000, you only get 75,000, so we reduce the number of people, the number to be served proportionately to that reduction.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
And so this year, if we were fully funded, we would serve that number. If we're funded at a lesser amount, then we'll reduce the numbers that we will serve proportionately to the dollar amount that we receive.
Okay, and just for clarification, because my brain is a little unscrambled out in this long period of time. So looking back at the program participants, so I'm understanding that 52% of, I don't understand the last column, I just don't understand that. I don't understand what that's telling me, 48% and 30%, is it just showing that there was a decrease in participants over the 2 years? Is that all it's?
I'm not sure what it is that you're looking at.
For this year, is that just designed to show a decrease in client participation? It's not on the right for that, just to show participation.
He's looking at your sheet that you provided us.
Which one is that?
The first one? Yeah, the first one.
Okay.
That's not what that is.
That's what I'm trying to.
So what is the yellow, what do the yellow bars mean?
Okay, the yellow bars, if you look down at the very bottom, the yellow is 2018, and the blue-green is 2019. And so in 2018, 48% of the participants came from a single female household. And in 2019, the ones that we're serving right now, 30% of those kids come from a single fat female household.
Okay, then to follow.
Oh, so that doesn't equal 100.
Right, that
Okay,
doesn't equal 100. So how many out of that 100 percentile are single family head of household or single father head of household?
Yes.
And that's what I was kind of curious about, just for equal representation for those single households.
Right. And in this case, they were all female, single female heads of household.
48%.
48% in 2018 and 30% in 2019.
Right.
Yeah. I should go back and double check that to make sure, but I'm pretty sure they were all living with their mom. Because then we would have said single parent, because overall, in everyone we serve, we do incorporate the fathers and the grandparents, because a lot of kids we serve also live with just one grandparent.
Yeah, and that's what I'm curious about, because just a very simple.
I'll go back and double check that. I should go back and double check that, and I can get you that information.
Thank you.
That's a good thing to know. Okay.
Commissioner Burns?
No questions, thank you very much.
Okay.
No questions, just thank you for the work you do.
All right. Thank you all so much. Have a good night.
Thank you. And I'd like to invite forward our next speaker to present the proposal, and that's going to be the Heritage Museum of Orange County. And you can begin whenever you're ready.
Okay, I had sent it this earlier today. But it's fine. I can just put it on my screen so I'm minutes. Yeah. I can resend it as well. No. Your email address. Just like after this.
I've been here since 2. If you send it after 2, I might not have seen it.
Yeah, no worries. Hi, I'm Nora Ortiz. I'm here from the Heritage Museum of Orange County. We submitted our proposal to fund a few different parts of our programs that we offer. So the money would be going towards our immersive education programs, new partnerships with new community organizations that we're starting to work with, and then the creation of both a tool library So as far as our hands-on education goes, for anyone who grew up and went through SAUSD, you probably have visited the Heritage Museum. We bring cultural and natural history to life in settings. So we have some of Santa Ana's last remaining wetlands on site. We also have 2 historic homes that show life during Victorian Santa Ana. We also have an adobe to show mission life and plans to build a quiche to show native Tonga life and really allow kids and adults and the public to experience that in a more immediate and visceral way than you would just reading a book or reading a textbook. We also work with different interactive programming on site. Whether we have multiple programs that align to educational standards, and we've been building out programs that align with the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts and Kiwanis, a few other local groups, both for service oriented and learning orientation. As far as the tool libraries and time bank, those are probably our more innovative side of our funding proposal that we sent to you. For those of you who aren't familiar with tool libraries and time banks, they are both a sort of local community resource. So tool libraries are basically what it sounds like. So instead of lending books and things, it is lending tools and equipment. And then the time bank is basically a bank, but instead of using some sort of physical currency, it's time. And so these work off of sort of 3 major principles, which would be economic development, sustainability, and community building. So for economic development, tool libraries make tools available to families and households that may need them. It also provides the education and know-how to use them safely and effectively. So you're not just, oh, well, now I have this drill and maybe it'll work, maybe not. It also provides members of the community an opportunity to showcase their skills or maybe their small business and really be able to demonstrate that as well. Time banks help bring tangible value to work that often goes unrecompensed. So maybe you aren't quite ready to start a small business with your skills, but you could essentially trade that for something else that somebody else in your community knows how to do. As far as sustainability goes, of course, by having one sort of communal tool shed, it's more efficient, it's more economical, it's more eco-friendly. You're downsizing tools and clutter by taking things that spend most of their time gathering dust and allowing folks to share them. Time banks support local economies, which is a huge way of going green by just supporting, keeping everything sort of in situ in that community. And then for community building, of course, tool libraries and time banks literally build community. So you're able to use the tools, use the know-how. We've included funding to have workshops that show different skills and different skill sets and make that accessible as well. It serves to make home improvement and by extension life improvement accessible to everyone in the community. And by sharing tools and time and responsibilities and skills, you get to build a much deeper level of community than you would otherwise. And it's a very unique way of building that kind of local resilience. That I kept it sort of short and succinct in case there were questions, because I know these are sort of more unusual processes, but block grants historically have been the way that most major tool libraries have been funded. So some have been around for upwards of 30 years, and they started with seed funding from their local community block grants, so like Portland, Seattle, and many other major cities have tool libraries, and this is how they got started. It's just such a natural fit for that resilience factor that this grant is for. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll start on my right.
Thank you very much. Your organization is one that I'm not familiar with. How big is your tool bank right now?
Well, so that's the thing, is that this would be seeding to start it. So right now we have a community farm, and the tool bank, we have the literal tool shed on site, and right now it just contains our farm tools for our volunteers to use. And we have, throughout the year, I think upwards of 100 or a couple hundred volunteers. I would have to ask our coordinator for that, and the farm manager. But the tool library itself, aside from farm tools, we don't have a lot yet. And so in the proposal, we discussed purchasing some larger items that are a little more inaccessible for the typical household, but often are helpful, and then otherwise working off of donations from different partnerships that we do have and the community members themselves.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Frazier.
Along with the initial investment, is there a plan for maintenance on a lot of these tools? I know a lot of these tools require seasonally, if not yearly maintenance. Is that factored into this as well?
Yeah, so we include, in the budget, when I was putting this together, I looked at what other tool banks have in their annual budgets for such concern. I mean, even if you have a tool yourself, you need to do maintenance, but especially when they're being transported a lot more than they might do normally, you often need that work. And so included in the budget is a certain amount of funding to outright either pay for new items to replace any that go missing or would be on repair, and then also money to repair them. And as part of the workshops that the tool bank and the tool library and the time bank would have, we would do repair sessions. So folks can learn how to repair things themselves, but also to make sure that maintenance is done regularly.
Okay. And I think I share a general, I'm just trying to get a better feel for it because I tend to be out in the dirt a lot and listening to people, how they're planning and things like that in the neighborhood. And I haven't really heard of the community gardens. Where are you guys based? Where are the gardens based at?
So we're at Fairview and Harvard. The Heritage Museum is basically, it backs up into Godinez and Centennial. So we are about 10.5 to 11 acres of what once was school district land that we are on for the museum itself. And within that we have between 4 and 5 acres of the native wetlands, so the last swamp in Sampana, and then on that property we also have about 2 acres of farm. And so that is a community farm. It's worked on by volunteers every week, and then we use the produce on site. We also have some sale partnerships for it.
Okay. And do you know where the primary concentration of the community members that contribute to the gardens, do you know where those people generally come from in Santa Ana?
I would say the majority are walking distance or very short driving distance from the museum itself. We have a lot of people, there's a neighborhood basically across Fairview from us. And we get a lot of people from that area or a very short drive away. So it is a very local group, as well as we do have wider partnerships with master gardeners and other groups like that, where we see people come from further away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Commissioner Tarver?
Thank you for your presentation. I don't have any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Limon?
For the tool library, what tools specifically would that include?
The idea would be to have as diverse a collection as possible. So things from hammers and screwdrivers to drills to much bigger equipment. So things like mulchers, if you have a garden space that you're trying to work on. Things like tillers, more kinds of planing saws, things that are a little bigger and a little more out of reach for sort of the average person, but help make things happen for you. So maybe you have home repairs, you can't afford a contractor to come, but if you just had that one expensive tool, you could do it, and this would give you that access. So hopefully a very diverse range of tools.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Santana?
No problem, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't have any questions, but I just have one comment. I'm very familiar with what a time bank is, and I think it's great to see a proposal that includes and could be city funded.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate
Can I
it.
make one more comment as well? I want to echo you, Madam Chair. I love this idea. When I read it, I didn't understand it, and just to our fellow commissioners, even with economic literacy of the tool bank, where our families or communities can line up with other organizations that are doing economic literacy, they're working on farms, or working on their homes. I'm actually mad at myself for not knowing the program before, but I think this is unbelievable and awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
And just so I clarify, so this is available to the entire city of Santa Ana then?
Yes.
But it's just primarily where your patronage is right, really close.
We would expect the majority of folks just to be nearby for accessibility reasons, but we built it so that it is very easy for anyone in the city to use. So it's like weekly return system, that sort of thing. So you'd be able to come within a pretty reasonable time frame. And we'd like to keep as much as we can, like either by phone as well, so you can just call and be like, hey, I can't get this to you this week, and we'd be able to work with folks that way. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
I'd like to call up our next speaker to present their proposal, and that's going to be Legal Aid Society of Orange County for their clean slate.
Good evening, everybody.
You can begin whenever you're ready.
Good evening, my name is Kellen Rossinello. I'm an attorney with the Community Legal Aid SoCal. We just changed our name from Legal Aid Society of convicts more people than any other country on earth. Nearly half of black men and 40% of white men in the United States have been arrested by the age of 23. If all the arrested Americans populated a nation, it would be the world's 18th largest, bigger than Canada, bigger than France, and more than 3 times the size of Australia. If you have a conviction, it can be an extreme barrier to accessing employment, housing, licensing, and loans. If you have a conviction, men who do have a conviction are half as likely to get a call back for a job interview, and that discrepancy gets even worse if you're a person of color. And this impacts the whole community in certain areas where people are more targeted by law enforcement. It can create an economic depression on the entire community, and that depression can actually be generational, where one family parents aren't earning as much as they could be without a criminal conviction. That actually transfers down to their children as well. Expungement, if you do get your convictions expunged, that's actually been shown to increase your earnings, increase your tax revenue that's generated from employment, and actually reduce and result in less costs through the criminal justice system. Because if you think about it, people who are more likely to get employed and more likely to get housing are less likely to go back into the criminal justice system because they can't access those resources. And because doing this process by yourself is extremely daunting. There are other programs out there that will help people sort of figure out the paperwork, but that's where they stop. Our program actually takes the client from the beginning all the way to the end, which means we will file the paperwork for them, and we will actually represent them in court if it is determined that the court's going to set a hearing on those petitions. So here's a little example of all the different things that we can do for folks. This is just a list. Petitions for dismissal is kind of the general term for expungement. That's the common one, but we do a whole bunch of other things, including reductions from felonies to misdemeanors, petitions for early terminations of probation, certificates of rehabilitation, and sealing of juvenile and arrest records. The arrest records one is that I think particularly important to highlight because you can have an arrest on your record that never resulted in a conviction, but it can still come back to haunt you in different ways. And the law actually changed fairly recently in the last couple of years that allows people to seal those arrest records more easily than it could be done in the past. Here are some of the organizations that we are currently building relationships with. You can take a look at those, but we are trying to really get involved with all the organizations in Santa Ana and to get the clients that they're serving also in our doors. In particular with Rosales Orange County, which is an organization that does employment readiness and job training. We're actually working out right now an agreement where we will be in their building one day out of the month to help their clients on site to fill out the paperwork and get the process started. The other nice thing about legal aid is when people come through our door for expungement services, we can also refer them to any other of the attorneys that we have on site to handle other issues, including issues with health benefits, housing, domestic violence, family law issues. We're also expanding our outreach, so we are doing more community education, as I mentioned on the previous slide with all of those community organizations. We've started a social media campaign to raise awareness. We're currently in the process of formulating some op-eds to get the word out. Also considering radio spots and public service announcements at high traffic areas, including posting it at like bus stops and that sort of thing where we know people are frequently moving through. So with that, I will be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. I'll begin with the vice chair.
Chair. Quick question, and congratulations on your issues with the groups. What is the average cost to expunge someone's record if they were to go to the private lawyer?
So that's a great question. So one of the things that we actually do when people come through the door is help them to apply for a fee waiver. So all of our services are free, but to file a petition, it can be up to $150 per petition. So if the person comes in and they say, I have 10 cases, that's $1,500 to file that without any
you track that data though, as far as folks that for yearly?
We can. It is tracked. I don't have that available right now, but we do mark when we do an intake what language that client speaks. If it's monolingual, then it will be marked monolingual Spanish or Vietnamese, whatever it is.
Thank you. Good work. That's it for me.
Thank you. Commissioner Limon?
I have no questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Carter?
Thank you for your presentation. I don't have any questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Frazier?
Yes, thank you for your presentation. Last year, the gentleman who gave the presentation, we were discussing the assistance and the support that the entity would offer and provide to people who are now Santa Ana citizens that had maybe some issues that they were working with out of state. And I think last year the program kind of fell short on providing any type of support beyond being in Santa Ana. With the recovery community growing in Orange County and in Santa Ana, bringing more people outside of California into Santa Ana, what type of things is this program supporting as far as, now these are Santa Ana citizens and the growing majority of them have issues that are outside of Santa Ana. Is there support as far as referrals? Is there support as far as referrals and support throughout that process?
Right, great question. So we do actually see a lot of folks that not only have convictions in Orange County, but across California. For those folks, we are able to help them. In the surrounding counties, we might even actually be able to help them to represent them in court. We do get, I've already represented a client out in San Diego County. For clients that have cases in a little bit further counties, say San Francisco, something like that, we would be able to help them file the paperwork, but we might not be able to go and represent them in person. For folks who do have a conviction that's out of state, unfortunately, we're not able to help them. We're just not licensed to practice in other states, but we would make a referral to, there's a network of legal aid across the United States that we would make a referral to in that case.
And would you still be able to act as kind of like a liaison on this side as far as if they had questions, they could still come to you and say, well, can you explain this to me? Or is it, we refer you to this out-of-state institution and that's it?
No, I think in that circumstance, they would still be in our service area, so if they're having questions about things and we can be helpful with that, we would certainly want to help them in that circumstance.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Commissioner Perez?
Yes, thank you. A couple questions I have for you. Last year, 17-18, you were awarded 42,807 to reach 207 units of service, and you reached 174. So we did not meet our numbers. This year, you projected, you're receiving 44,227, projected to measure and reach 104. To date, you've only reached 30, which is 28%, which is pretty significantly low. And on top of that, this year you're asking for 45,000 to only reach 100, when 2 years ago you got less to reach 207. So just as I'm looking at all these proposals and just taking a look, two red flags is we're not meeting our numbers, we're not meeting our goals and objectives. And then we're asking for more money at a higher amount to reach less, individuals. Can you answer me?
Yes. Yes. So I would mention first off, to date, since we submitted the numbers, we're actually up to 46 unique clients now. So we have grown that.
What's your number now?
46.
46.
So I came on in December as the new expungement attorney, and my understanding is that the previous one left in September. So there was a good almost 3 months in there where we did not have somebody in this position doing all the outreach, trying to get the clients through the door. So that is part of the reason that we're not currently where we want to be with the target. However, I think since I've come on board and started to make these relationships with the new partners, we are starting to see those influx of new clients starting to come through. Even when we submitted the numbers in tonight's report, that's been a pretty big jump. So I think that we are back on track, and I think we will be able to get close to, if not exceed, the number that we are our target number for this year. As for the amount of money that we're asking for being more than previous years, to realize is that these cases are can be extremely complicated. When we think we're done, we're not, and sometimes we got to start over. This morning, I actually went to court, had a hearing where we filed a petition based on the rap sheet that we had, and it turned out that it was something totally different. So the court denied it. Now I have to go file a different petition for that person. That's the nice thing about having us do the actual representation is if that client had been on their own, they would have been, oh, it's denied, it's all done. But this client does actually qualify for relief just under something else. We are also finding that we're having lots of clients with multiple cases. My record in the 2.5 months since I've been there is 31. So we are doing really deep dives into providing services for clients. That client counts as one, but 31 cases for that person. So that's why I think we see a little bit of an increase in the number. Of course, we're willing to talk about that number if needed.
Well, I think when you talk about one case might have 4 or 5, allows me as a commissioner, like, oh, okay, I understand that, absolutely. So I think it would be important if those numbers are being met, is to have some explanation, so we're able to at least take a look at why those numbers are being met. What is the demographics of our population age-wise that you would say we serve?
That's a good question. So it runs the gamut. I can get some further numbers from you on actual percentage breakdown, but for a few months that I've been there, it just really kind of ranges. We've had some folks in there that are 19, and even some folks that are there trying to get juvenile records taken care of. We've actually had several seniors that come in. One individual came in because he's retired, but he wanted to volunteer somewhere, and he can't because his criminal conviction is coming out. So I think it really just runs the gamut based on age.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you for the work that you're doing. And I just was wondering if there have been any attempts to build relationships with the Santa Ana Unified School District or community organizations such as Chicanos Unidos that are working on the ground to clear some of these records as well.
That is a great question. I'm actually going to write those down so I don't forget. We have not explicitly done that yet. We are working with Project Kinship in Santa Ana, which is specifically focused on youth reentry, and they do have relationships with the school boards across Orange County. So we're hoping that some of the referrals will come through there, but that's a great suggestion and something that we'll add to the list.
Okay. And that was just the school district and Chicanos Unidos?
Yeah.
Thank you. Are there any more questions from any commissioners?
I have one question, but I don't know if it's.
Vice Chair Santana.
Thank you. I understand last year the city council approved money for immigration. Is that it? That has nothing to do with your program, right?
Tangentially. A conviction, if you get an expungement under California law, it doesn't actually change anything under federal law for federal immigration purposes. But if you get something reduced from a felony to a misdemeanor, that's different. For legal permanent residents who might be facing immigration consequences based on a conviction, having an expunged conviction certainly looks much better than having a non-expunged conviction, even though the federal government can still do what they want at the end of the day.
So I think the question is that we're not double dipping into the different money that's been allocated from CDBG from council, right?
No, we're not. We would certainly work together. If we have a client that has immigration issues, we want to make sure that we're also handling expungement issues, and vice versa. But it's separate pools of funding.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I would like to invite our next speaker to present the proposal, and that's the Legal Aid Society of Orange County for their domestic violence prevention.
Good afternoon. I don't have a PowerPoint presentation. My name is Yolanda Omana. I'm an attorney with Community Legal Aid SoCal. We used to be the legal. Did you like that?
No, sorry, I should have called you.
Oh, no, that's fine. We have and always were the Legal Aid Society of Orange County, but we also include both Compton and Norwalk, which is community legal services. And so in order to combine and make the legal aid office or legal aid program inclusive, we are now the Community Legal Aid SoCal. So not only do we service all of Orange County, we also service South So again, my name is Yolanda Ohana. I've been an attorney for 25 years. I'm assigned to victims of domestic violence, primarily in the area of Santa Ana, or the city of Santa Ana. That does not mean that I don't help clients who are outside the city of Santa Ana. I like what I do. Not only do I help our clients with their legal problems, but they might have other issues, social issues. They may need help with getting housing. How do we get them into housing? Maybe they're facing an eviction because of the domestic violence. We represent clients in court. I most recently got a 5-year restraining order for a client who was a victim of domestic violence. She was actually being raped and hit in the middle of the night. She lives with her they lived with their 4 children, 2 bedrooms, living room. Mom and dad stayed in the living room. The children each shared a room on each side. It got to the point where our client, who's a resident of Santa Ana, moved into the closet so that the husband would not hurt her at night. No witnesses. Her word against his. He was represented by counsel. Because we were able to help her and represent her, we got her a 5-year restraining order, a residence exclusion order, so that she is now has the apartment, exclusive use of the automobile. He has to pay the family cell phone bill, and most important, both the spousal and child support order. I'm counseling her now to be able to pay the rent when it comes due on the 1st, and not to rely on that money that's supposed to come from her spouse in the event it doesn't come. So she's got the 4 children. They all go to school, all residents of Santa Ana, but they also work in the evening. So the nice thing about working with her is work with your children, your adult-grown children, to help you with the rent in the event you don't get the money. So that's one of the things that your money goes to, is to help residents of Santa Ana to get the representation that they need. The majority of our clients are women. We do not generally get in, probably because various reasons. Just the way women don't come forward each time. Men are embarrassed. Men are ashamed. How is it possible that it's me? So it's not uncommon for a victim of domestic violence to not come forward until many times that they've been abused. I am the face of the DV program at Legal Aid. I've developed a relationship with my client. If she comes today and she needs help today, I will help her. If she chooses not to return for whatever reason, if she goes back to her abuser, that's okay, because when she decides she wants to return to get the help that she needs, whether it's the restraining order, whether it's help me to get into shelter, do you know where to go? Do you know where I can go? Whether it's I have no food, who do I call? I'm there for them. I develop a rapport with my clients. I develop a relationship with my clients. They feel comfortable coming to me. It's nice to be able to hold a file open a little bit longer than normal, because again, that client isn't going to necessarily get the help that they want today by their choice. So ordinarily what we would do is we would get a client and maybe keep it open for about a month. If they don't come back, we close it. I might keep calling the client if I can, because one of the questions on our application is, can we call you? Can we email you? Can we send you correspondence? Obviously, if the answer is no, then we just wait until that client comes back. So we have a relationship with various, with the various shelters in Orange County. We work with Human Options. We work with the Women's Transitional Living Center. We work with Laura's House. We get referrals from them. But we can also refer clients to them. If I've got a client who needs counseling or whose children need counseling because they've experienced the domestic violence inside of the home, then we can call up to one of those 3 different units or organizations to see if we can get them into some sort of program. I also work with the Orange County Family Justice Center, and they have great programs for children, for teens, so we can get those kids in. It's really nice to be able to help a client with their problem, but also to explain to them that this is the problem right now that you're here for, but let's help you with these other things. Oh, we didn't realize that was a problem. So legal aid, community legal aid, victims of domestic violence, of sexual assault, of any kind of violence, to help them to break the cycle. And if they're not able to do it, then let's help their children. I had one particular client who, same thing, we got her divorced, we got her a spousal support order, a child support order. She was so proud of her daughter, Spanish-speaking, monolingual, the client was, and talked about how bright her daughter was and doesn't know what she's going to do. Is she going to college? Well, I don't know. So we sat there together, me, the client, and her daughter, and went through. I printed out she was going to start high school. I printed out the requirements for the UC system, for the Cal State system, and said, make sure that your daughter, at the very least, take these classes so that when the time comes, she can become independent on her own and not miss any of the courses she needs to be able to get into college. So, again, we work with their legal issue right now today, what their problem is, but there's other issues that they have, and then we also do the social part of it. I have nothing further.
Thank you. I'll begin with questions from Commissioner.
No questions, just a comment. Thank you for the work you do. It's invaluable. And for a lot of those students and individuals that can't do anything, thanks for being there for them. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Frazier.
Yes, thank you for your proposal. I guess what I'm trying to understand. So it looks like for 40 people that you'll serve, that's about $1,400 per person that you're averaging expenditure on. But what I'm noticing is that there's a lot of services that are outside of the realm of legal services. And is that handled through your staff through this program, or is that handled through a referral service to people who are qualified and maybe educated to handle the physical, the emotional, the mental issues that result as a result of these environments?
I'm pretty much handling everything in-house. I mean, if there's a referral source within our program, for instance, let's say an individual is getting evicted, we've got a housing unit. If I don't help them with their response or with their answer to the unlawful detainer, I'll refer it. The only people that we're referring out is individuals who need counseling, the client might say, my child is having major outbursts or is having problems at school. Have you thought about getting your child into counseling? He or she could be one or the other, might benefit from this. And so the only referrals outside of our office that we're making, or at least with respect to victims of domestic violence, is those for counseling, those for housing, whether it's a shelter. We might refer them to Catholic charities or different organizations to help them move. Otherwise, we're pretty much doing all of the work in-house.
Okay, so just so I understand it, so you're doing the work of the legal part in-house and you're referring if they need anything for counseling and things like that, because you don't have qualified people.
That's correct.
As far as for counselors and things like that. And I guess where my line of distinction comes in is that if you're providing those legal services, same ways, is domestic violence a legally more expensive process? Is that traditionally, is there a degree of more expensive association with that than other legal services just in general?
Well, it could be, just because if the person comes in specifically just for a restraining order, it could be done in and out, but it's not just the restraining order that they need the help with. It could be the restraining order, but now it's also the divorce, or the paternity action, or preparing the proper document to have them released from their lease because they're a victim of domestic violence or afraid to go back to the home because their abuser might come out of jail and come looking for them again. So yes, it could be more expensive than another area, only because it's not just that one point, it's everything else that follows after you fix this little itty-bitty tiny problem.
Okay. So that's, I guess what I'm getting at is that I understand that there could be hidden costs or there could be additional costs, I guess would be more accurate. So, but yeah, okay. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Torres.
Thank you for your presentation. I think it was good.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Leon.
Although it's rare for you to receive men, do you still help them equally as much as women?
Absolutely. If a man were to come through our doors, and actually we have received applications or calls from men, and I could probably say 4 men. It's a very small number, and they don't come back. And it could be the same reasons women don't come back for our services. They're afraid of their abuser. They think that it'll be worse. They go back. They don't know if they can do it without their spouse. If I leave her, no one else is going to love me. I don't know what the reason is for them not coming back, but they too have not returned. And it's a very small number. But yes, we would absolutely provide the same service for the male individual if he came to our office. You're welcome.
Vice Chair Santana?
Thank you, Chairwoman. I echo Jim Perez on commend you for the strong work that you do. It's very hard work. From the 40 applicants that you are serving, you say that sometimes the willingness is not there, right?
Right.
Folks kind of. So from the 40 of those 40, do you have a number of folks who incomplete the process for assistance or help?
I don't have a number on me, but I can tell you that the number that we're reporting, those are people that are actually receiving services. And you know what's, so we had the funding last year. Some of the clients from last year have come back to me for help on other issues. So no, I don't have the number for you, but I certainly have, I could get it from Shelby, our administrator.
Great. And second and final question is, do you work with the county, with background sources? Do you work with the shelters? Do you also have to work with like Wise Place or any other, like maybe the new homeless shelter?
So we're not working with the Wise Place, but we do get people from Wise Place, and we do have other units that are working specifically with homeless and bring back, or the homeless I should say, and bring back their applications. We've got an individual who actually goes out to the courtyard, but Wise Place we don't have a direct contact, however we do have residents who say they're from Wise Place.
Okay. So do you work with the city on the cold team? Because you said you work with the courtyard. I'm just curious.
So that would be our homeless unit, and I'm not
That's
sure.
separate.
Right. So I'm not sure who they're working with, who their partners are, and it's so my unit does not work with the courtyard. We've got an individual who goes out to the courtyard and who will bring back the information. If we've got a person who's a victim of domestic violence and that person needs help, then that would be me.
Great. Thank you for the work that you do.
You're welcome.
And I don't have any questions, so just thank you very much for everything you're doing. I know it's very tough work, and I'm sure it takes a toll on you as well, but thank you for being here.
It does help my clients.
Madam Chairman, one quick comment. I also want to applaud you for reaching your goals and your numbers for the last 2 years, significantly passing that. So thank you again.
And there's just one other thing that I want to add. I do work with my clients. If they're working, I ask them what days, what times. I meet with them after hours. I've got clients coming in at 5, clients coming in at 6 o'clock. If they get off work at 1:30 and can be at my office at 3:30, I do that. I have not done Saturday or Sunday, but I do work after hours, and it's not about hours, it's what time can you be here, because I know that that hour to them is super important. That hour of pay is a big deal for their families. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'd like to invite our final speaker to present their proposal. That's going to be Lutheran Social Services of SC, Southern California.
Good guess. Yes, it is. Thank you. This one? Good evening, and I'm thankful that I'm last. I know you guys have been here for a long time, so I'll try to be brief with you. My name is Jim Pilo. Thank you again for our opportunity to present for the first time. I'm thank from Lutheran Social Services for asking for this grant. I'm an assistant senior director. I've only been with the company for just about 2 years or so, and Lutheran Social Services is a faith-based organization. We've actually been around, sorry, I have to put my eyeballs on. We've actually been around since December of 1944 and currently serve hundreds of thousands of individuals and families throughout Southern California with over 50 different programs and services at over 20 different locations in different counties throughout Southern California. We're part of the Lutheran Lutheran Services in America's network and strive to serve those in need with dignity and respect. And the three words that we picked up there is for our mission statement. We embrace those in crisis with short-term emergency services. We equip individuals and families with programs and resources to help them on their journey. And most of all, we empower people to break the cycle of poverty and live with dignity and become self-sufficient. The program that we're actually talking about today is the Victims Intervention Project, fairly new. It's been around since 2017. Our program is specifically for women who have otherwise been victimized, not necessarily those who have been victims of domestic violence, although it's great to have heard legal aid. I know I've made many referrals to them for women who have been victimized in that way, and maybe other folks who otherwise have been victimized by assault, robbery, human trafficking. We even work with former prostitutes and so forth, and those who have been sexually abused. Emergency services, I'll get in more detail about it, but it's essentially to help folks who otherwise need our services. Our target, of course, is for those women who are underserved, in this case, in Santa Ana. In 2018, we served for the Victims Intervention Project, which serves all of Orange County, nearly 2,000 women. With Santa Ana, we actually did nearly 90. And that was out without even really being based in Santa Ana just yet. I'll talk a little bit about where we're currently at, which is we have a Garden Grove office, but we also have reached out into Fullerton. As you might imagine, being a Lutheran organization, we have a network in Orange County of about 50, I believe 55 Lutheran churches, and at least 3 or 4 here in Santa Ana that we have partnership with as well, to be able to speak to them and then tell them exactly what we do. It's not unusual for us to get referrals directly from the Lutheran churches. The type of emergency services that we do provide is based upon our assessment. The very first thing when they come in or we go to them, because we do outreach in the community as well. I mentioned the Fullerton office, but it's also the Garden Grove office. And so what we do is we assess their needs based upon how they may have been victimized, and then we confidentially talk with them what kind of services do they need. And the type of services that we do provide are things like food, we have a clothing ministry, we have bus passes, hygiene kits, so forth, and then specific financial assistance. In this case, for women who have been victimized, we've helped them with finding housing. It's not unusual for them to find that they no longer can reside where they're at, or they may be homeless. So we've helped with, we have like a rental program where we assist with getting them in with a security deposit or paying the rent for at least 1 month to try to get them on their feet in order to be able to be more independent. We've helped with utility payments, and that may include not just electricity and gas like we would imagine, but also their cell bills, cell phone bills, and so forth. We have intensive case management services. We're currently staffed with 2 full-time case managers, both of whom speak Spanish, who have helped folks specifically with appointments. They meet with them before we go out and meet with them in the community and work with them to see what kind of services, what kind of resources we can refer them to, much like legal aid, to Chrysalis, to a lot of other different services that are out there in the community that they may not be aware of. And because we are faith-based and we're a nonprofit, we do things for free, so we provide individual counseling. We have a marriage family therapist, I'm a licensed clinical social worker, we provide individual one-on-one counseling services, and then we also provide support groups, periodic support groups for these women who have otherwise been victimized. And then we have seasonal programs. We do things like back to school. We partner with, like I said, with some of these churches, these Lutheran churches, who sponsor these events with us. And then we help with things like back-to-school backpacks full of supplies for the kids who otherwise might be, don't have anything. We've done Christmas programs where we provide hundreds of folks. I don't have this time limit, I'll be quick. And then our whole thing is, like we said, is to be able to empower these folks, make certain that they can be more self-sufficient. We primarily work with the homeless, men and women. So we are funded in other sources, and we do get a lot of donations from the churches specifically to work with men and women, but this program specifically we're trying to help with this women. And then the public, that's when we have specific case management appointments with them, so they can have one-on-one confidential meetings with us. And like I said, sometimes we go out in the field, we see them wherever they may be at. Questions you may have?
Thank you. I'll begin with Vice Chair Sanchez.
Thank you, Ms. Ramos. I have no questions. Thank you for those answers.
Thank you. Commissioner Leon?
I have a question.
Sure.
Thank you. Commissioner Target?
Thank you for your presentation. Since you're a faith-based organization, there's nothing wrong with that. So I was wondering, is there a preference for any particular faith or non-faith?
No, none. Absolutely none. We take everybody. It doesn't matter. We help folks who are Jewish, Islamic, Muslim, doesn't matter. We take things by faith. In other words, when people come to us and if they've been victimized in some way, specifically women, we help them regardless.
Could you explain maybe a little bit about your outreach process?
Sure. Our case managers will go out in the field. We have been partnered with specific types of organizations to do resource fairs. And then when the clients that we've seen, because they can't come to our office, we'll see them wherever they may be. It could be a park, it could be a Starbucks, it could be wherever it is. But we also meet with other organizations where we may be like health resource fairs, things like that.
Very good. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Frazier?
Thank you for your presentation. One of the things that I loved about Santa Ana moving here, because I haven't been here for very long, but one of the things that I've discovered is this kind of this common thread that runs through the city of inclusivity, and every effort is made to keep from excluding, which is great to see that in every level of the, and I see that in the 5-year plan and 3-year plans that I look for the different. So I guess what I'm questioning is does Lutheran Social Services not see the potential, especially with the homeless population that you reach, to opening this up to both men and women, and being inclusive of those demographics as the family unit is changing, and those groups are going to be affected as well?
Yes, I mean that's something that we're on the precipice of working with. We don't turn away, like let's say if there are women who have been victimized but they have significant others, we do help them as a family unit. So even though the client addressed specifically may be the woman and who may be our client, when we start the whole assessment, it's a question of who may be their significant others as well as those who may be dependent. So, but we are trying to develop another program specific for men and women, as you see.
So if I came to you as a man, and I said, my partner, or my domestic partner, or my wife is beating me, what would potentially happen at that point, since your program is women specific?
Yeah, like I said, we help everybody. We've never turned anybody away. So although we may not have specific funding, we would still do some of the same services. And what I have said, since I'm overseeing the government office as we speak, is whoever comes to us, we can still provide the same type of services, whether it be case management, individual counseling, as well as support groups that we've managed to have just men. So we're not exclusive. I'm just presenting the program specific for what we're trying to do as far as working with women, because we know there's a lot of women out there who are otherwise being victimized in some way. But we've never turned anybody away.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Commissioner Reyes.
No questions. Thank you very much for that.
And I have no questions. Thank you for being here and for the hearing.
Thank you for letting me present.
So now we're going to move on to public comments. Does the public have any comments they wish to share with the commission? Please know that you have 3 minutes to speak. There is no public, so we'll move on to staff member comments. Does staff have any comments they wish to share with the commission?
The only thing, 2 items that we're going to follow up with an email to all the nonprofits that presented today, and that will present on Thursday as well. And just be reminded to everybody that the next meeting on Thursday will start at 2:30.
I just have one question off that. Is City Hall open on Friday? Will you be
Yes, it
working
is.
on it? So can you send, so are we, I just wanna make sure that all commissioners are okay with giving them a Friday deadline. I would say 12 p.m. on Friday, so that gives you enough time to put everything together and then send it over to us. So we can have that information for the weekend as we review and rate these applicants. Is that okay with everyone?
I just think we have to be careful because those that presented today had more time than those that are presenting on Thursday.
So what I asked him was to send everybody an email today or tomorrow at his earliest convenience, so that those that are presenting on Thursday can send something as early as tomorrow.
I just don't know if they're gonna know if their budget's wrong, because I think what's happening is a lot of times the grant writers are writing the budgets, when the people who are presenting it, I mean, as I'm asking questions, I can tell, they actually didn't look at what was written. And it's not their fault always, because a lot of times the grant writer or support staff is putting together those, or your budgets, support staff is putting together. So I think, I know I actually reached out already, I've seen some issues with some that will be speaking on Thursday, that I've already said, hey, I don't have an accurate budget, I don't have a current 501c3, I don't have an audit. So as I look at some of those, I know we reached out to, I think there's one organization that we've already asked them to kind of fix that, but I know I haven't reviewed all the other ones to see if there's any errors. I just, with all due respect.
Can, maybe in your email, can you highlight that maybe highlight the typical errors that we've been seeing and ask them to look very carefully, and just emphasize that this is an opportunity that we have to make any corrections, and after this deadline, we will go off whatever was submitted. Go ahead, Commissioner.
In the effort of maybe making more level playing field, would it be possible maybe to email the people that we saw tonight to give them the opportunity to close the business on Wednesday, and then give the people on Thursday to close the business on Friday? That would equal the playing field for both parties concerned, because it would give them the same amount of time.
I'm okay with that, if everybody else is.
We would have to notify the people for Thursday. On Thursday, we couldn't notify them early, but we could notify the people that we saw tonight that they have until close of business tomorrow. And then Thursday, when we have the people in front of us, we can notify them that any discrepancies or additional information can be submitted up until the close of business Friday.
How soon could you send out an email? Because I did announce that the deadline would be on Friday.
Sure, we can send it out tomorrow morning, but I just want to make sure that the email's going to state that they're going to have the opportunity to correct items that were identified today, but not to submit omissions from their application, because that's not fair. Okay. Yes. So I could do that tomorrow morning.
And comment is, why don't you just be uniform and have it Friday? I get it that you're giving an organ the upper hand, but at the same time, it takes time to pull. I remember meeting with my team. It's a lot of the stuff is digging and researching. It's not in someone's share drive. It's actually also if you can give them till Friday to get you the right stuff, because if you're not gonna get someone else that's rushed, that can throw off again their request.
As a person that was presenting tonight, having till Friday, I think that's unfair to anybody who presents on Thursday, who only still has till Friday to submit that. Even if they're notified today, because they're not going to necessarily know that they have the correct information.
Does the city have the capacity to make phone calls and reach out to every one who's applied?
Yes.
Can I just say one thing? I think we have a motion on the floor that I actually kind of agree with. There should be a really 24-hour to fix the issue. I agree with you to a sense, like those today, you have until, tomorrow, 5 o'clock. Those on Thursday, you have until 5 o'clock. The reality is this is a legal process. They've submitted a legal request for application. So, honestly, those that show up on Thursday, in a sense, they should be graded just like those that showed up today that didn't have their stuff. So we see it. Now, if they have their stuff, they've done their due diligence, I think you grade it that way. I just think when I look at a proposal and the budget doesn't match what they proposed, that's a major red flag. Now, in some incidents, we know a lot of these organizations, and there was an oversight, so I think giving them 24 hours is a good process.
So I'll just take your comment and then we as a commission will make a decision. So we all
Let me just add to that. There are some organizations that's the first time applying have not gone through this process. There's some that have, applied multiple times or applying year by year. So take that into consideration. I get it that for fairness, you want folks to have the same 24-hour period, but at the same time, I believe in the bigger picture is for city staff to help a little bit more these organizations. Sometimes it just could seem a little bit overwhelming for first-time applicants, and I know that it's hard because you don't know who's applying until the grant is submitted. But I think in the future, hopefully next year, we can have workshops where the city can sit down and work with anyone who wants to apply and help facilitate something like this, because then it takes off the pressure from them, and they know what to expect when the deadline opens and closes. That's all I'm saying. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you all for your comments. I don't think we can make a formal motion because it's not on the agenda as a business item. Is that correct?
Well, this does still relate to everything that you're discussing in terms of reviewing the application, so I think you're okay from that aspect. But in terms of needing to take a formal motion in order to set this process, I think you can also, staff has heard all of your comments, and I think staff can take that and go forward from here. Unless you want to make a formal motion, but it certainly is not required because staff does have the authority to kind of put forward this process.
Thank you. So I just want to recommend, and then we can do a quick straw poll just to see what everybody's thinking and go with the majority. I just want to recommend that we do give everybody a 24-hour notice. All those that are okay with that, we can just quickly express that. Okay, so if staff can just outline that in the email to those that presented today, and then if anybody made a mistake on Thursday, they'll be given that same. Okay. Thank you. Are there any additional staff or comments?
I just have a comment. I agree with Commissioner Santana. I think we need to provide some workshops and some opportunities for those that have not, so I completely agree with that.
Thank you. Moving on to commission member comments. I'll begin with Vice Chair Santana.
Thank you, Chairwoman Ramos. Thank you, city staff, for being so flexible and patient this afternoon. I did experience a pipe burst in my office. We had to get that cleaned, and it was really nasty, but I'll leave it at that. And encountering all the school traffic, it was fun. The only suggestion I have for city staff is to please, if we can have, I know that Secretary is going to do an amazing job, but maybe assign a sense of Redevelopment meeting, because we want to encourage more folks to come and participate and have an open, welcoming chamber. Second, can you make this a little bit bigger? And we have some line items, because I'm using rulers and pens, and if you guys can put us on maybe a legal sheet with a line that goes right across, it just helps us to look at things a little bit better. But other than that, I appreciate the cookies. The coffee, it helps. Believe it or not, I haven't had lunch, so it was great. And I thank you, Commissioner, for asking great questions, as well as our youth commissioner. I think we're doing a good job, and we're doing a good service for our community. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Commissioner Limon?
I have more comments.
Sure. Commissioner Carter?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to thank staff for setting this up. I'd like to thank the applicants for their presentations. All very good and thorough. I'd like to thank my colleagues on the commission for their questions and comments. All very good. I'd like to welcome our new commission member, Jim Perez. And I'd like to especially thank the staff for accommodating my temporary handicap this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Frazier?
Well, I'd like to 100% mimic and parrot what was said by my fellow commissioner, even down to the accommodating my temporary injuries over the last couple of months. or the last month and a half. Outside of that, I really appreciate the setup. This year it was much easier to get into. The presentations were a little easier to interact with in this forum rather than the way that we had it set up at the Ross Annex last year. So I definitely feel the difference from last year to this year. Other than that, thank you very much. Another question or another statement?
Thank you. Commissioner Perez.
Thank you. City staff, thank you. You're doing an unbelievable job. I appreciate being part of the team. And just look forward to continue working side by side with you. And to all my fellow commissioners, thank you. It's an honor to be with you, sit with you, and can't wait to go with you. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to echo what has already been said. Welcome, Commissioner Perez. Thank you for coming and walking through and asking very great questions. I also want to highlight Commissioner Limon. Commissioner Limon has asked very few questions at all our past meetings, but today she asked nearly a question for every single presentation. So thank you for doing that. I really do it. Also, thank you staff for your work. Thank you for helping us figure things out in the diocese as they're happening. Thank you, David, for sending that the email that you're gonna send out, and just thank you all for being here. And I'll see you again on Thursday. Okay, with that, meeting